All right, good morning, family. Thank you for being here. Look, we'll get the show started in about 90 seconds. I want to give you some time to like and in particular share today's show on Facebook, on social media. We're up on Facebook this morning and YouTube. If you want to check out the audio portion of the show only, go over to nathanivey.com and you'll see the audio player. You can subscribe on Spreaker and on TuneIn just for the audio. On today's show, among other things, I want to talk about, should no-knock warrants be banned in Cincinnati? And a juror now in the Breonna Taylor case wants to speak publicly. What will this juror say? Many things to discuss. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Cincinnati's first daily digital talk show that focuses on the Black community starts in about 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. And again, family, please like and share today's show.
Listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
morning, family. Thank you for being here. Many things to discuss this morning. Again, just take a second to like and in particular share today's show. I'm Nathan Ivey. Welcome back to the Nathan Ivey Show. Hey, how you doing, folks? Welcome to my home studio. It's a beautiful morning. How are you? It's always great to be with you. It's my absolute pleasure. And I want to jump straight into so many things to discuss, man. So many things. There's my number if you want to share your thoughts this morning. 513-873-7134. Among other things, this show is your morning destination for interesting conversation. Independent new black media, broadcasting live from the greater Cincinnati area. I'm Cincinnati right now at a secret location. Good morning to you. Listen, if you want to dial my number, you've got it. There's only one rule. Open your mind before you open your mouth this morning. That's it. Other than that, we can always agree to disagree, hopefully without being disagreeable. If not, a tisk with the flick of my wrist and the show moves on. Good morning to you. Again, please like and share today's show. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe on YouTube. All right, so many things to discuss this morning. I don't even know where to start. So let me just start with today's cover art. Let's start right there, actually. That's a good place to start. Should no-knock warrants be banned in Cincinnati? This issue is going to come before for a vote in a committee in Cincinnati. As I understand it, one member of City Council, Chris Silbach, proposed this. Apparently, he grew up in Louisville, so he was particularly touched by what happened with Breonna Taylor. I spent a little bit of time talking about this as a sidebar issue yesterday, but I think it's worthy to be a main topic. And I don't anticipate this being the only time we talk about this, quite honestly. I think the City Council should consider banning no-knock warrants. But I want to give you what has been said so far, what the chief of police has said about this, just to give you a heads up on a conversation that can have a huge impact. I mean, just yesterday I was having a conversation with someone who called in about it, and it just made me realize that maybe we should dive a little deeper into why I think this is so important. And as I understand it, to this point, there's only been 2 no-knock warrants that have been granted. And a lot of people might look at that and say, well, Nate, since it's only 2, then it's not really a real issue. And I would completely disagree with this. I'll say it again. Real leadership all over this country, whether you're an elected official or you're a member of law enforcement, you're a leader of a law enforcement department, they should be asking themselves, how can we prevent what happened in Louisville from happening wherever, fill in the blank, they are? And for us, that's in the city of Cincinnati. To me, real leadership doesn't wait until people lose their lives before they act. Real leadership looks down the long hallway and says, you know what? I think we can do something about this. You know, what we saw in Louisville is absolutely a tragic situation. And people who are in positions of influence should be asking themselves, how can we rethink our own process to make sure that it doesn't happen here in the city of Cincinnati? So and look at everything that's happened in Louisville. I mean, they've got unrest. They've had unrest now for many, many days. And there's a lot of suspicion and distrust about their local, system of government and justice. And perhaps if they had wise leadership that decided to maybe take a deeper look at some of the policies and procedures that law enforcement uses, that they could have prevented all of this. Speaking of Breonna Taylor, man, I'm telling you, it's not over with, folks. Just yesterday, a grand juror filed a lawsuit to seek a release of the grand jury transcripts and also permission to speak on the Breonna Taylor case. This is breaking news. To this point, an unidentified grand juror is seeking the release of the grand jury transcript and related recordings so that, quote unquote, the truth may prevail. In the motion that was filed late Monday, the jurors also asking a judge to allow for them to give up their confidential status so they can speak freely about the controversial case that we've all been talking about. What's it all about it? In a statement released by this unidentified juror's lawyer, it reads, quote, "The full story and absolute truth of how this matter was handled from beginning to end is now an issue of great public interest and has become a large part of the discussion of public trust throughout the country. So are we going to get a chance to see what the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case was presented with? Are we going to get a chance to see what the attorney general in Kentucky actually presented to the grand jury? That could be very, very interesting. That could be real interesting. The motion also accuses the Kentucky attorney general, that's Daniel Cameron, black man, of using the grand jurors, quote unquote, as a shield to deflect accountability and responsibility for those decisions. And said that the juror says has led to more seeds of doubt in the process. You know, that's the Breonna Taylor case is a great microcosm as to why black people around the country don't trust law enforcement. It's not because black people are pro-criminal behavior. It's not because black people are on the side of lawlessness. It's because black people have been the victims of a long history of situations just like Breonna Taylor, where the evidence and the law seems pretty clear and somehow it gets twisted up and contorted and turned back around, and, you know, law enforcement officials are not held properly responsible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this Breonna Taylor case is just the latest in a long, tragic history of similar occurrences where law enforcement officials have, in some cases, killed unarmed people. The law seems pretty obvious. Nobody's held responsible. That's the reason why there is a healthy suspicion between black folks and law enforcement. That's the reason why, in some cases, it's difficult for law enforcement. Again, I think it gets overblown. I mean, here in the city of Cincinnati, you know, you've heard people talk about, oh, the people gotta come forward and work with the police. Black people in Cincinnati work with the police all the time. Who do you think is calling Crime Stoppers? It's black folks. So that's completely overblown. But let me just make this point again, that there's a healthy suspicion and distrust in the hearts of a lot of non-white people. And there's a reason why. There's a real, justifiable, tragic, grisly, bloody trail as to why people feel that way. I just want to make that point there, because sometimes in the media, they try to make it seem like black folks just are somehow we just identify with criminals. We just don't want to work with the cops. No, it's because sometimes even when you're not the suspect, you end up being a suspect. You know what I'm saying? So people have learned, I'm gonna mind my business. You know, if law enforcement officials and politicians don't like that, then you've got law enforcement officials and politicians to blame for that. It ain't the black community. I'm here to tell you, 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, good morning to you. Again, please like and share today's show. Man, the weather done turned outside of Cincinnati. Damn. It's like, what outside? Woo. And we are like those we holding out. We refuse. We're going to be the last people in Cincinnati to turn the heat on. We refuse. We will be bundled up. I told the wifey we're going to set a record this year. We're trying to get to Christmas before we turn the heat on, right? Keep that bill down as much as possible. How about you? Have you turned the heat on already? Don't say yes. Stick it out. Be tough. Be tough. Be tough. Good morning to you. Let me go straight to the choppers and see what's going on. If you don't know, you're listening for the first time, we're up on Sin Digital Media's Facebook page this morning, and you're watching the Choppers in the Chop Shop. The Choppers are the citizens of the Chop Shop, which is a chat room that's created by Spreaker. So all you got to do is go over to, well, there's a couple ways. I mean, the best way and the fast way is go to nathanivey.com. You'll see a media player at the very top. It should be playing today's updated show. Just click on the title of it. Boom, you'll be transported, you know what I'm saying, straight into the Chop Shop, and you can interact with the folks, or you can just rock with the folks on Facebook and or on YouTube. Let me go straight to my folks here. Clue Magic's in the house. He writes, Grand Risings, Nate and the Choppers. Hey, good morning to you, Clue. Good to see you. Ms. D writes, greetings. Good morning to you, Ms. D. Brenda writes, happy Tuesday. We made it. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Happy Tuesday. Keith writes, Miss Tiffany writes, good morning. Writes, rise and shine, young stars. Good morning to you. Cincy Tigress is in the house. She writes, good morning. Brother IT, he hates when I call him that. He writes, good morning to all the choppers, especially the toxically masculine men and women who don't have penis envy, aren't misandrous, and generally aren't bothered by men being men because her natural persona always has drawn attention from men. You the real MVP. Good to see you, Insatiable. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Yesterday, the city and county played the law and order strategy to earn votes in the early voting next week. How is that? Give me the details. Send me a link. Ray writes, grand risings all. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Chopper. Ray writes, what goes around comes around. And with his comfortability, he mishandled this case. There should be harsh penalties for him and all of the others that may be culpable. CG Dub writes, good morning, Choppers. Good to see you. Pamela writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Majestic writes, good morning, Choppers. Good morning to everybody. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Thank you for being here. All right. Many things to discuss. Let me set the table again. My question to you is, do you think that Cincinnati should ban no-knock warrants? Should Cincinnati ban no-knock warrants? This is an issue the city council is currently mulling over. This is an issue that, as I've read, and if you got up-to-date knowledge or more up-to-date knowledge, this is going to come before a committee and within the next couple of weeks. This was a motion that was put in forward by Chris Seelbach. All right. I want to get your thoughts about it. Do you think that Cincinnati should ban no-knock warrants? As I understand it, they've only done 2 in the last year? I would say that yes. I would say yes. I mean, if no-knock warrants are going to in any way can end like what we saw in Louisville, why are we doing it? And if the city of Cincinnati is only granted 2 of them, or 2 of them have only been granted within the city of Cincinnati, granted by a judge, then clearly they're not that much of a tool, right? They're not the usual tool in the toolkit. So what are we missing here? Now, I read a quote from our police chief, who is an African-American man, Chief Elliot Isaac, and the quote that was attributed to him said that there are some extremely dangerous people out there, and sometimes the police need the element of surprise. What do you think about that? 513-873-7134. Again, should Cincinnati ban no-knock warrants? I want to get your thoughts on that. A no-knock warrant is a warrant issued by a judge that allows law enforcement to enter a property without announcing themselves by knocking or ringing a doorbell. They're used when officers fear evidence may be destroyed and in situations dangerous to officers. Okay. I mean, I can understand that. But does a no-knock warrant put an officer at more or less risk? Does a no-knock warrant put an officer at more or less risk? I mean, look at what happened in the Breonna Taylor case. In the Breonna Taylor case, you had a man who was inside the residence who, from his standpoint, said that the police didn't identify themselves. Did you know that the star witness, right, in the Breonna Taylor case, the witness that Daniel Cameron cited when he said that the officers had identified themselves, did you know that initially he said that the officers did not identify themselves? It took him like 2 months before he turned his story, did a complete 180. He went from, nope, the officers did not identify themselves, to 2 months later saying that the officers did. And that right there seems to be very unreliable. It wasn't like a situation where from the very jump, this witness said unequivocally 100% the officers in Louisville had identified themselves. Why did it take them so long? 2 months later? Like, how many people can remember what happens within 2 months to make you completely change your story? That seems very suspect to me. And if the witness and the motivations of the witness is a suspect, then at the very least, I think we could all have to say that the reliability of the witness has to be suspect. I'll say it again. Did you know that in the Breonna Taylor case, that the Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, in his televised statement, part of his decision-making in deciding to charge or not charge the officers was the fact that there was a witness who said that the officers did identify themselves. But initially, this same witness said that the officers did not. So what happened within those 2 months from the initial statement? I mean, for me, don't you have a clearer and more sharper recollection when you're closer to the incident that you're trying to recall? I think so. I mean, your memory doesn't get sharper the further you get away from the incident that you're trying to remember, does it? That doesn't make any sense. Why did this witness initially say that the officers did not identify themselves, and then 2 months later say that the officers did? Why? I don't understand it. And what exactly is making this unidentified grand juror in the Breonna Taylor case? What's behind this juror now saying that they want to give up their confidential status to speak freely about the case? There must have been something that the juror knows that is at odds with what we were told by the Attorney General. That's the only thing we can come up with. Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General, must have said something in his press conference and or his decision-making in, deciding to charge or not charge the officers. It must be at odds with the conscience of this particular grand juror, and that's what's making this grand juror come forward. Now, what's the grand juror going to say? I don't know. The grand juror could come forward and say some things that completely back up what Daniel Cameron said. That could happen. That's a possibility. Or the grand juror could come forward if, in fact, the motion is granted, the confidentiality is waived, and the grand juror could say some things that, I don't know, shed further light or add more controversy, right? It could make Daniel Cameron's decision and make him look bad. I don't know. I'm interested in finding out what happens. I do know that's a very, very serious responsibility when you're a juror. It's a very serious responsibility. And shout out to the people that do jury duty and become and actually volunteer in their time and become jurors. I think it's a very serious job. We need more people to take that seriously. A lot of people try to get out of it, and then you get the same old type of jury pool. So, I mean, just a couple things there. One, Cincinnati related, but has connections to what happened in Louisville, and the other directly related to what happened in Louisville. I can't wait. I hope that this grand juror is allowed to come forward. And I also hope that these transcripts, in fact, hit the light of day and we are able to get more insight into what was presented to the Breonna Taylor grand jurors, because that'll give us some idea as to how they arrived at the decision that they did. Did Daniel Cameron come in there with his preconceived, conclusions and basically bake in his desired outcome? That's what a lot of people have been saying on social media. Okay, just looking from the outside looking in. In the legal community, I know that there's a lot of folks who have a lot of question marks about what Daniel Cameron's investigation yielded in terms of charges. And of course, there are some lawyers that agree with Daniel Cameron. So this is going to be very interesting. And what does this mean? Kevin Glogauer is the attorney for the unidentified juror, right? This is just 5 days after the indictment. Quote, here's a statement from the attorney. The full story and absolute truth of how this matter was handled from beginning to end is now an issue of great public interest. Now, see, that could go either way. that could go either way. You know, is again, we don't know what this juror is going to say. They could come out and say some things that completely back up Daniel Cameron. That would be some interesting details. Or they could come back and completely contradict Daniel Cameron. We're going to find out together, folks. Hopefully we'll find out together. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. Now, that's a free call anywhere in the country. Anywhere in the country, that is a free call. And again, only in some places outside the country, again, open your mind before you open your mouth. That's it. That's all I ask for. At 9 a.m. this morning, I'm going to talk about 2 new shows that you can now, in the next couple of weeks, you'll be able to watch on a weekly basis here on CDM, Sin Digital Media. I really appreciate you. I've been saying for years, Nathan Ivey Show, one man, one microphone, one mission. And my mission is slightly changed. My current mission is to amplify, Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area, to amplify Black voices in the Cincinnati market. And to that effort, I created Sin Digital Media. And of course, we started doing live streams, which you can, again, watch on CDM. But I want to expand it. There's so many great, talented voices in the Cincinnati area. And I've reached out to many folks, and some folks who are doing existing shows and some brand new shows as well, who I think you'll find both informative and entertaining. So at 9 a.m., I'm going to talk and reveal 2 new shows that you'll be able to watch in the next couple of weeks here on Sin Digital Media. I'm very excited about it. I hope you are as well. And we'll talk about that coming up in about 45 minutes. Looking forward to it. Along the way, you got me. You got me. Same OG. Mason Marler writes, I'm inside the Chop Shop. Morning, Nathan Choppers. Hashtag Crunch Fitness and the Nathan Ivey Show. What? Getting it in. I love it. What can be better to get your grind on? Hashtag clout chasing is a pre-existing condition. Hashtag Daniel Cameron, Gilligan of the Year. Depends on your perspective. I mean, for those officers in Louisville and for law enforcement in particular in Kentucky, he's not a Gilligan. He's a hero. Pamela writes, morning. Sissy Tigers writes, yes, the city should ban them. Lord knows if anybody can mess it up, Cincinnati can ban them. She does have a point. We did recently have a Cincinnati police officer who almost killed somebody. He thought he was getting non-lethal beanbag rounds, and he loaded up shotgun rounds. Remember that? Keystone Cops, we don't need ya. We don't need ya. Cincinnati police officers misfiring, doing some straight Gilligan type stuff. I just feel like in these days and times, with the history of Cincinnati, again, Cincinnati has the history of people hitting the streets. And to city leadership, it can happen again. It can happen again. We're one Keystone / Gilligan cop moment away from people from some social unrest. We're one Breonna Taylor situation away. And it costs the city a lot of money. It costs the city a lot of money, a lot of property damage, and turned the city upside down for a short time. Again, I remember being out in the streets. I was a younger journalist in the game at that point, covering it from a street side view. It was interesting. It was interesting. And it can happen again. And in my opinion, how valuable are no-knock warrants when they've only issued a couple of them in the last couple of years? What's more important, right? Preserving life, or in 1 or 2 examples, giving Cincinnati police officers the element of surprise. And I mean, when they say destroying evidence, I mean, what are they talking about? Are we talking about like white collar crime? You know what I'm saying? Like we saw with Doug Evans. He's shredding papers. Are we talking about a bunch of street level drugs? Again, I'm going to say it again. The mainstream media, this paranoia about street level drugs, to me, the war against the drug is far more dangerous than the drugs themselves. That's just me. You can agree with me or disagree with me on that. But the war on them leads to what? Sometimes people get shot, these high speed chases, the over incarceration of our neighborhoods, the over prioritization of our tax dollars to police budgets. I mean, I just fall right there. And in return, what are you getting? The ability to seize some cocaine, right? The ability to seize some heroin that's going to be replaced by the next dope shipment into the greater Cincinnati area anyway. That's what's going to happen. Like how much dope has the Cincinnati Police Department worked diligently to remove from the streets only in 6 months or a year for it to be replaced by the next shipment? So what are we really doing? To me, it seems like just a hamster running on a hamster wheel. That's what it looks like to me. Just saying, some of the most dangerous drugs in the world are legal. The most dangerous drug in the world is alcohol. It's the most dangerous drug in the world in terms of the human toll, the toll to our society. It is alcohol, and that's legal. That's legal. Let's think about that. The worst drug for our society is legal. I'll say it again. The worst drug in terms of the overall impact in our society is legal. It's legal. You can walk in, you can go buy it right. You can buy it now. I think you can. 8, 17, I'm sure you can buy it somewhere. Or you will be able to buy it very, very shortly. You can pick up your beer, your alcohol, your wine right now. Your gin, your rum, your Chardonnay, you can buy it right now. Legal. So I'll say it again. It's just my humble opinion. You could agree to disagree. The war on drugs has been a war on you know who. And it still costs us. Destroying families, bloated prison systems, bloated police budgets. I mean, it's really got us focusing on the wrong things, in my opinion. So I don't know. I'm not a police or law enforcement expert. I will leave it to the law enforcement experts to tell me how this should all work. But as a private citizen, to me, it seems like it's worth it. It doesn't, or should I say, to me, it doesn't seem like it is worth it having no-knock warrants, especially after in the post-Breonna Taylor world. See, that's justice. That's partly justice. Partly justice for Breonna Taylor is really primary justice is for those officers who have been charged directly with her death. And that would have been the first line of justice. The second line is changing the policies so that no one else has to suffer her same fate. And I'll say it again. I know some people were leaving comments, yesterday about how she's a dope dealer. Where's the evidence? Show me the evidence. There is no evidence out there of that. Where are you getting this from? Is just Charles Barkley got an email chain? What the hell is going on? Where are you getting this information from? I haven't seen it. I would love to see it. Send it my way. You know what I'm saying? I want to be on point with all the latest evidence. Please share it with me because I'm missing something. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Crystal writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Good to see you. Samantha's on YouTube. She writes, good morning, all. Hey, good morning to you. Jared is on YouTube. He writes, good morning, hashtag team and I. Good morning to you. Deborah writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Good morning to you, Deborah. Anthony writes, good morning. Anthony writes, morning, Choppers. Sean writes, morning, blessed family. Jane is in the house. Good to see you, Jane. Good morning. Ray writes, grand risings all. Grand risings to you. Renee Mack writes, good morning. Ray writes, grand risings all. Ray speaks. I love it. Brenda writes, good morning. This is my favorite part of the show, by the way. Greeting everybody. Deshauna writes, good morning, Nathan and everyone. Rise and shine. National Coffee Day. For those who drink it, go get your free cup. That's right. Fast Pitch is in the house. Good morning. We'll be talking on her later on the show. David writes, good morning, and the Choppers. TNT is in the house. Good morning. Don't miss it. The Cincinnati NAACP and the Prince Hall Masons are going to be back this week and throughout the month of October, doing their best in these COVID days and times where people don't really want to go out to events, but there's still a need to give as much information as possible. Remember, information is power, and they're going to be kicking back up their forums, their political forums, where you can get face to face with the candidates. They're going to be talking with the judicial candidates starting this week and all through October. So make sure you go over to their Facebook page. That's the Cincinnati NAACP. And again, what I would say is take this opportunity to get a little bit more familiar with these candidates, these judge candidates. It means everything. It matters who is in the people who are going to be in these positions of power. It matters. And, the last thing you want to do in November is to walk into wherever you're going to vote and see names on the ballot that you have no association with. Because what's going to happen? You're either going to vote blindly, which means it's like a 50-50 shot that you're actually voting for somebody that's going to represent your interest, or you're going to leave it blank. You've done it before. I've done it before. You know what I'm saying? I get it. So here's an opportunity for you to, get informed. You can be at home. You can watch on your phone. You can watch in the luxury of your palace. You know what I'm saying? You COVID free. You know what I'm saying? And you can get information and interact, with the candidates. Hear and watch them be asked questions that matter, all right, to you and your vote. Again, go over to the Cincinnati NAACP's Facebook page and see what's coming up next. I think the next one is going to be tomorrow. All right, looking forward to it. Should be interesting. Tracy writes, hi. Greg writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Jasmine writes, true. Good to see you, Jasmine. Alicia writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers from the Gym City. Good to see you. Greg writes, I see that Sunday's Inquirer had an article with basically the same headline about no-knock warrants. I think they should be banned nationwide. The only exception perhaps could be arrest warrants for murder suspects or arrest warrants for felons who are known to be violent. Jasmine writes, good for them. TNT writes, release the transcripts. It's like, release the Kraken. Release the transcripts. I'm with you on that. I want to see what Daniel Cameron, presented to the grand jury. It'll give us a sense of, I think, a much more clear sense of who he is as a man, and is he somebody that the community can actually be trusted? Can we trust him? Because right now, I think there's a lot of speculation about what he could have done. There's a lot of question marks about what happened. All justifiable. But if the transcripts come out and we get to see we get to see a fuller picture of what happened behind the scenes, that'll give us the what's as to what kind of man he really is. Sean writes, no-knock warrants should not be allowed anywhere. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good to see you. Crystal writes, they'll write books too. This is a story. Yes, it is. In America, you got a good story to tell, you write a book. Kendall writes, good morning. Hey, good to see you, Kendall G. Kelly writes, good morning. Toy writes, it's also why people in general, especially people of color, have zero faith in the legal system. So glad this grand jury is saying what most of us has been saying. Well, again, I'm going to do a little more digging here, but so far, again, I just want to preface it because I haven't got a concrete direction on what this juror, if the juror is allowed to speak freely and publicly, is really going to say. We don't know yet. It could go either way. I want to preface this. You know what I'm saying? It is not beyond. It's not beyond the powers that be to have a juror come forward in these days and times to try to make Daniel Cameron look good. Don't discount that. That is totally possible. And the language from what I'm reading from the lawyer who's representing this unidentified juror, to me, is really middle of the road. I can't really come down one way or the other as to what the juror might say yet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the full story and absolute truth. I mean, that sounds good to people who feel like the full story and the absolute truth has not really come out. It kind of makes you feel like the juror might come out and say something like, Daniel Cameron basically was trying to use us to get the officers off. Now, there was one statement that gives us more of an indication. The motion also accuses Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron of using the grand jurors as a shield to deflect accountability and responsibilities for those decisions. Now, that seems to take a step in a direction, right? right? That seems to take a step. You see this a lot with when an officer's involved. They could just charge the officer, but they take it to the grand jury to try to filter through the grand jury to get exactly the decision that they want in the first place. But then the DA can stand back and say, oh, it was the grand jury. We've seen this game before. We've seen it before. And again, everybody pay attention. The case in Louisville is a microcosm as to why there's so much mistrust in the hearts and minds of non-white people when it comes to law enforcement. This is why. This is why. Situations just like this. Situations like what happened with Timothy Thomas here in Cincinnati, where it seems open and shut. And the legal system is used to exonerate a man or a woman that doesn't really deserve it. And non-white people sit back, black people sit back and see this and be like, oh, okay, same old, same old. Like I said, no black person in America was surprised by this, as maybe Charles Barkley. Outside of Charles Barkley, every other black person, man, woman, and child who's old enough to understand what time it is was not surprised by this. That's because we all have a level of experience and skepticism when it comes to getting justice. This is an old issue, man. This issue is as old as the enslavement of black people in this country. The so-called Emancipation Proclamation, right? Yeah. We've been dealing with this. This is a long time frustration, right? Black folks have been told about this situation since we was kids. This ain't nothing new. Our grandparents and our parents and our uncles and aunties talked about this whenever the Breonna Taylor case of the day was happening. This ain't nothing new. That's the reason why there is a healthy and justifiable skepticism, to interact with law enforcement. I'm making this point because I get sick and tired of, even when I see black folks trying to play this whole anti-snitch role. If ever there was a race of people in this country that has a reason to not want to work with law enforcement, it would be us. It would be us. Because the way we know how the game is played. You know what I'm saying? You come forward, you end up being a suspect. Now you down at the county. Now you've got a case. You know what I'm saying? They want to turn it on you. You know what I'm saying? They want to turn on you. But that's how white supremacy is. It never takes responsibility. It wants to blame you for what they do. It happens. It happens in the schools. It happens in the schools where parents have issues. Your kid gets abused. You go down and talk with the administrators. The administrators want to blame you. Now you're the problem. Now you're getting aggressive. Now you're irate. Why are you yelling? Well, I'm yelling because my child was abused. You know what I'm saying? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. You cannot tell me I'm wrong. As someone who loves litigating Fourth Amendment issues, eliminating no-knock warrants now may minimize lawsuits and bloodshed on the front end. And Toy is saying she had experience in the legal system. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer in Cincinnati. Ban no-knock warrants, period. Period. This is easy. And anyone who's sitting on city council that objects to it, then we need to understand where they're coming from. They might have some reasonable and legitimate reasons behind it. And again, I'm in no way an expert of the law, but from where I sit as a private citizen, as a father, as a husband, as a citizen of Cincinnati, as a taxpayer on many levels, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. I'm tired of my taxpayers going to pay for these police officers that do bad, then we got to pay them out. I'm sick and tired of. Speaking of payoffs, there was some movement in the Gang of Five. Matter of fact, I was just talking about this thing with Black Russia yesterday or the day before. Yeah. Here it is. Special prosecutor, no dereliction of duty charges for Cincinnati City Council Gang of Five. The special prosecutor, this is a special prosecutor, as I understand it, is a Republican and works with the Joe Dieter's Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office. Okay, so maybe we can put this baby to bed. I've been telling people from day one, can we focus on something more important, please? From day one. So we went through all of this just to arrive back at where people like me said we should be from day one. The special prosecutor who investigated a group of Cincinnati City Council members for secretly, and again, these laws were written back before you could do text messaging, but for secretly conducting city business via text messages, has recommended the members not be criminally charged with dereliction of duty. Quote, after considering this particular matter at length, I have concluded that such a criminal charge against the council members is not warranted and therefore decline prosecution. So can we put this to bed and finally, please? Like I said, I love the sizzle. Man, listen, getting the inside take and the interactions and what they were saying about one another, great. It was cool, but at the end of the day, it was council members talking about one another. That's it. That was it. It was council members talking about one another, talking about the mayor. And that was it. There was nothing more to it. It was politically motivated by friends of Christopher Smitherman. Let's call it what it is. You know I keep it real with you. It was all designed and targeted to try to have an impact on the mayoral election, all designed to try to have an impact on Democrat candidates. That's all it was. And the only people that got paid was Brian Schreiber and his boys. We didn't get anything out of it. We, the citizens, got nothing out of it. Brian Schreiber got paid. Coast got paid. They got paid. And for all the people out there that was like, well, the taxpayers, the money. Well, you should have told your friend Brian Schreiber and your buddies at Coast that the steak wasn't worth the sizzle, and you could have saved taxpayers $175,000 for nothing. Where y'all at? Where are all the pro Gang of Five text message people at this morning? I bet they ain't got a damn thing to say, because just like I told you is right. And this is a Republican special prosecutor from a Republican Hamilton County prosecutor's office. And they've all came up with the same thing. Move on, folks. There's bigger fish to fry. This was all politically motivated and orchestrated to try to make Democrat candidates look bad, to try to have an impact on the mayoral election. And I don't really think it's going to work. We'll see. Everybody's got their own opinion. But, I mean, as a private citizen, I'm going to be voting on other issues that matter. I ain't going to be thinking about this. I'm going to be honest with you. And from what I've heard from a lot of black voters, they ain't really too concerned about it anyway. They could see through the lines. It was fun. Not really. It was kind of fun. Maybe a little bit. But now things are going on. And apparently, just like Republicans, he included a line, the investigation is ongoing. I don't know what that means. I guess they want to keep some kind of black cloud hanging over the whole situation. I guess the politics continue. But I think it's quite interesting that at every step, it seems like, the legal system itself is saying, nothing here, folks. I'm mad at Christopher Smitherman for wasting so much time talking about this. I'm mad at Christopher Smitherman for not telling his friends, Brian Schreiber and his buddies over at Coast, that the steak, he should have told them just like this. Hey, Brian, the steak isn't worth the sizzle. You're going to waste a lot of time and waste taxpayer dollars for nothing. But they didn't do that, did they? Because they thought, this would be great. We can get some dirt. And I remember going through it with a fine-tooth comb. And to me, at the end of the day, it was just people talking about one another. You might call it immature. You might call it sophomore. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it was a bunch of people talking about some ish that at the end of the day didn't really matter to the voters. And then 1, 2, 3 of the so-called Gang of Five are term limited out. They're not even going to be on city council anymore. They're not even there. Tamai Denard stepped down. So that's 4. So 4 of the so-called Gang of Five can't even run for re-election. What was the point of all of this? I just told you. It was politically motivated to try to throw dirt on the name of candidates. It was done, in my opinion. In my opinion, it was done because, Christopher Smitherman at the time was thinking about running for mayor. So maybe he and his boys thought, we're going to get some dirt on PG Sittenfield. We're going to get some dirt on the Democrats. Yeah. Instead of getting their ass out here and developing some real policy, right, and running on that, no, we want to try to run on BS. I'm keeping it real with you. That's what I saw. What did you see? 513-873-7134. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. They can't. 4 of the 5 can't even run even more. And you got Christopher Smitherman still running around talking about the gang of 5. Black man, this is what you do every day? But I guess this is smart politicking. I guess down the road it'll pay dividends. I guess from what I'm reading here, it's not over. Damn it, I wish it was. Because we got better. The Inquirer has better things to write about. We have better things to talk about. And city council certainly has better ways to spend their time and money. Can I get an amen on that? But I guess it was fun. Not really. While it lasted, kinda. I try to tell you folks, this is straight politicking. This is local Cincinnati politicking. You know, people do this instead of coming up with policies that really matter to people. They want to play games. And meanwhile, guess who got paid? Coast. Money in the bank. Girl, what you drank. They getting paid. I think Ohio should rethink the Open Meeting Act, quite honestly. Because as I understand it, what was it written back in the 80s, that pre-internet, pre-text, man, they should rethink all of that. That's what I think. Let me see. The city agreed to pay $101,000 to settle the case. $90,000 in attorney fees. So when you look at who won? Coast won. They got $90,000 out of it. In all of it, there was only a $1,000 fine for the violation. So let me get this page. So the city had to pay out $191,000 for an offense that culminated in a $1,000 fine. And that makes sense. I'm telling you, somewhere Coast was like, cha-ching, they made money. They got 90 stacks out of it. You know what I'm saying? Between them and the plaintiff, they got 191 stacks out of it. What did you get as a citizen? Nothing. You got wasted headlines, very valuable media time that could have been used on other issues. And at the end of the day, it amounted to a $1,000 fine violation. So why didn't they just pay the $1,000 fine violation and we could have saved $191,000? But Coast and Brian Shrive and Christopher Smith and his buddies wanted to play politics. So you should ask yourself, you should ask Christopher the next time you see him, Christopher, why didn't you tell your buddies to not play games with taxpayer money? And you could have saved us $190,000. But no, it was all cool. It's not coming out of your pocket. It's coming out of our pocket. So it's cool to play politics with it for an offense that at the end of the day garnered a $1,000 violation fine. I don't know, man. It's clear to me, guys. It's very clear to me. You have to tell me what you think about it, though. We can always agree to disagree. 513-873-7134. Oh, man. And I bet you nobody can even tell me anything that was in the text messages. I bet you can't even remember anything of noteworthy of any substance that came out of the text messages, can you? It's a damn shame what we do here, man. Playing politics at its finest. And you know me, I'm going to keep it real with you 100%. Good Riddance, or GRB, is back and writes, Breonna Taylor was a ghetto loser. Are you trolling this morning? GRB? Please stop. Deshauna writes, I have a lockbox on mine. Nobody better not ask to turn the heat on. They better find somewhere to put PJs to put on. You got a lockbox on it? I told the wifey, we are not going there. We are not going there. We're trying to get to Christmas without turning the heat on. You know what I'm saying? I might put some videos. It was kind of cold in the house last night, but we'll be okay. Just put some extra blankets on. Everybody's rocking, long PJs or whatever the hell. Put 2 pair of socks on, B. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. I'm telling you, we will be the last family in Cincinnati to turn the heat on. Anthony writes, Duke has made a lot of money the past couple of years. Yes, they have. David writes, AG botched the plan and he will be set aside like Ken Blackwell. His political career is done, is it? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. Justice for Brianna writes, banned. I agree with you 100%. Deshauna writes, yes, they should ban. Some police officers have bad judgment and will overreact, especially if someone has kids in the house. I agree. I think that the potential loss of innocent human life outweighs anything else. It outweighs anything else in the city of Cincinnati. And if it happens here, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. It has the potential of being combustible, of being an explosion, of having people get to the streets and protest. 30 days and 30 nights, more loss of property, more curfews. You know what I'm saying? The protests haven't stopped. There was a protest over the weekend in the city of Cincinnati. So, and, again, I know some Cincinnati police officers, they seem to be great people, but in general, I just can't trust it. I can't trust it. We got cops out there loading the wrong ammunition into their firearms. Hell no. I just can't trust it right now. We can't trust it. And if they're only doing 2 a year, how valuable can they really be? It's not like it's a everyday, take it out the toolbox type of tool. So how valuable could it really be? Something to think about. I think you got an error on the side of human life. Human life is more important. And then secondly, again, I think it's leadership shown by Seelbach and the members of city council who support this. I think it's leadership. Leadership does not wait until people die to react. Leadership asks themselves, what can we do before somebody innocent dies? And that's what I think they're doing in this case. I think it's smart. Like, I understand the objections of the Cincinnati police chief, Elliot Isaac. You know what I'm saying? I understand his objections. I think he is the experienced person in the room. So what he says carries a lot of weight. But we're the citizens. And what we say carries even more weight. And I think a majority of citizens, I'm just saying I think so here, but I think the majority of citizens will agree that no-knock warrants, agree or disagree, that no-knock warrants should be banned here in the city of Cincinnati. Let me go to the phones and take my first phone call. Let's say good morning and welcome to the show.
What's going on, Nate? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Mason Mahler, what's up, man?
Nothing, man. I'm kind of beat up, but I'm still listening to the show. I got to get my energy up so I can start at 9 o'clock. But yeah, you got me going, man. You and your organic tea and your model shots.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, where'd you get the organic tea, green tea from?
I think that is either the Whole Foods store, Whole Foods over in what is that? Rookwood, or it's Clifton Natural Store on Ludlow. It's either or.
Okay. Because I actually went to a Kroger yesterday and I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
but
either one of those.
Whole Foods right there by Crunch Fitness.
Yeah, you should always do organic tea because the tea industry is notoriously known for their practices. So go organic, less pesticides, and better for your body and health overall.
Well, because of my liver and kidney problem that I have to try to stay away from caffeine. So
okay.
That's a big thing. But I can drink green tea without any sugar.
Oh yeah, man, it's great for you.
A couple bags in the bottle, and But Nate, going back to the Gang of Five, and you hit it right on the head, man. This was nothing more than Smitherman trying to embarrass PG Sittenfeld, because all of the text messages, despite 9 members commenting on everything in the world, everything was concentrated on PG.
Right.
It was all concentrated on PG. And this is nothing more than, I don't know, what were they capping on text messages? And like you said, they spent $92,000 for a $1,000 fine.
Right.
That makes absolutely no sense. And then, like you said, I wonder how much money Coast and Brian Shrive have gotten from the city over the last 10 years. I mean, it has to be in the millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, it's into the many hundreds of thousands of dollars. There was an article that was put out maybe 6 or 7 years ago that kind of detailed it. I'm gonna see if I can find it this morning and put the information out there. This is what they do. This is what they do. This is how they make money. They claim that they're doing it to support taxpayers, but it's coming out of our pocket every single time. It's just it's just a con game, basically.
Well, if you remember, the only other significant text message that came out of there, remember when I think it was Landsman or maybe even Wendell Young, they called Jeff Pastor whiny.
Yeah.
Remember, they were like, "Oh, that's racist." They called him whiny.
Yeah.
Remember we were having that argument?
I do
what
remember
the hell does that mean?
Yeah, the alt middle
they called him
make
whiny.
that argument. They
could have called him polyamorous. That would have fit better. But Nate, I know. Do you ever check out the Drudge Report?
Rarely. Very rarely.
Okay. Well, I want you to check it out this morning, man. On the left-hand side of the column, I don't know if you talked about this or not or brought it up, but apparently a British outlet got a hold of the Trump 2016 campaign files, and they leaked them. Apparently, Nate, that the Trump campaign called blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and other minorities, they described them as deterrents. Yeah, it's on. Check out the Drudge Report. It's on the left-hand side in red. It's one of the top headlines.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So they were calling African Americans. They were deterrent, and they were trying their best to try to keep African Americans from going to the polls. And they have quotes in there where they were like, "No, we weren't trying to do that." Where they later admitted that they were trying to do it. And I guess have you seen the video of Brad Pascal, the former campaign manager?
We're being arrested.
Yeah. So apparently he lost his job and went crazy.
Yeah.
Pulled out a gun. His wife in the front yard, like, I got away from this fool. Then he saw her in the window in the front yard, and he was starting to come after her. Then the police came there. But yeah, check out that Drudge Report. All this stuff. Let me ask you this, Nate. Over all the years that you've been working, have you ever paid over $750 in taxes?
Yeah.
I have too. I know. Isn't it a billionaire for the last 2 years have paid a measly $750 in taxes?
Is he really a billionaire?
No, he's not. He owes $420 million to people. And a lot of those bills are coming due in 2 years, Nate. I think they said 2022. So he's been trying to get as much money as he can to cover up his debts for the last 4 years, basically. That's what it looks like. And I think we talked about this before. I think Donald Trump knows as soon as he leaves the White House, the AG for New York, the AG for the state of Virginia, they're coming after him. There's a very good chance this man might go to jail for tax evasion and other misdeeds. But it's not like we didn't already know this, did we?
True. Facts.
Let me ask you this, Nate. Tonight, the big debate. I know you're going to be watching. I wish I can give Facebook Live updates, but I'm doing a 30-day bid. So,
I've been for Facebook?
Yeah, man.
What happened?
I got haters, Nate. The haters are everywhere, man.
They are everywhere.
The haters are my motivators. Like that guy, what's it, RBG, that's just making the silly comments on your face. You can expect that, Nate. That's how it is. Like I said, man, they trolling and rolling. Cloud chasing is a pre-existing condition. And they out there. I mean, I've had guys over the last 30 years, actually call my job when I was at the coroner's office, wondering if I was making phone calls to radio stations during time on the job and wasting taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
They really give a damn about me making calls from the coroner's office, and that, drastically affects their life.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people you're dealing with.
You told me that story before, but you've also shared some stuff. I know you don't want to put it out there. You share some stuff that kind of talks about, how some of these local politicians will get dirty as well. I know you don't want to share it, but it's real. People just don't know. These people play dirty tricks. They'll try to intimidate you if you speak out on radio shows.
Right. Well, hey, let me just say this. That governor is off of my mouth right now. And, with when my dad passing away about a month ago, I really haven't come out and said what I want to say. But I will in due time. And, it might take something, what did your boy Fame say? something slick and greasy coming out of his mouth for me to completely go into his mouth about what he's tried to do over the last, 6 years, quite honestly. I mean, when you got people calling your dad when you're like 40-something and you're 50 years old,
breaking up
to get off of your back, you got problems. You got really problems. I mean, believe me, if I'm considered a threat to your political career, you got real problems. And it says more about your political career than it says about me. But as far as the debate tonight, Nick, I'm hoping like hell that they hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire, and that I'm looking for remember that Axios interview with Jonathan Alter, and he was pulling out the little color graphs, looked like Miles did it for his 8th grade class out in Mason.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about read the pamphlets. And the guy was like, "What pamphlets? Like, what are you talking about? First of all, what freaking president refers to pamphlets when we're talking about a coronavirus?" And then have you heard the comments of Dr. Fauci yesterday about Fox News?
What did he say?
The guy that he talks about Fox News giving out disinformation about COVID.
Uh-huh.
And his new COVID czar is I think his name is Alter or Atlas. That's his name, Atlas. He's like a quack doctor that doesn't even have a degree in epidemiology. So it's like they pulled some guy off of Fox News, off the Hannity show, and then made him the COVID czar. And now he's out here like, yeah, we should do herd immunity, and should let the kids get sick, and it's basically the Darwin theory.
Right.
I mean, it really is. So, but yeah, man, I really wanted you to, like I said, look into that post on the Drudge Report about the leaked 2016 campaign data. And apparently they were keeping data on like 220 million people, Nate. But they refer to blacks and Hispanics and Asians, or basically any minority group or anybody not white, as a deterrence. Like I said, it's right there in the article. So, it's not me just making crap up like people like to drop bad science. These are factual things that are happening. So just wanted to throw that out there, man. I got about 8 minutes before I have to get logged in, but I just wanted to get that out, man.
Appreciate you, man. Take it easy.
Hey, you have a good one, bro.
Yeah, most def. Yeah, I can hear that in his phone. It was starting to get all modulated. It's hard I could hear him, but it sounded like it was being interrupted. Yeah. He told me the story. I'm telling you, some local politicians is always out here on some out for the people stuff, run around behind closed doors, listening to radio. And if they hear you criticize them, then they want to call your job. They want to call your family, try to put pressure on you like they're the damn mafia or something. How you making it up? I mean, if you read between the lines, he kind of told you who it was. But again, that's his story to tell. You know what I'm saying? It's quite interesting. Just watch some of these snakes out here, man. Some of these snakes act like they for the community. They snakes. They're for themselves. They all about themselves. Some of the biggest snakes out there. That's very interesting. I did see this article. I didn't know where it emanated from. I saw it on, not sure where I saw it this morning, but I saw it this morning nonetheless. The Trump campaign strategy to deter millions of Black Americans from voting. It's the reason why I told you the Platinum Plan was some straight BS. Because Trump didn't want Black people to vote. Trump doesn't care about the Black community at all. He don't give a damn about the Black community. Trump cares about Trump. Let me see. 3.5 million Black Americans were profiled and categorized as a deterrent by the Trump campaign. Voters, they wanted to stay home on Election Day. And this is the reason why the Trump administration was so friendly to the Russian political intervention. This is the reason why Black people were the tip of the spear by the Russian disinformation campaign in 2016. Because by and large, Black people vote Democrat, and a lot of Black people are woke and know what time it is, and they weren't going to vote for Trump. And so if you feel like a certain group isn't going to vote for you, then what do? You can either try to spend your efforts creating policies to turn them around, or you try to get them to not vote. As I said earlier, and I've been saying it before, over and over again, I'll say it again. Black people should pay close attention. When you hear about Russian interference in our elections, pay close attention if I can get it out. Pay close attention. Pardon me for 1 second. Let me wet my whistle real quick. Pay close attention because they're talking about efforts that are being used on us. And the efforts are not to necessarily get you to vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, they got black voices for Trump for people that might succumb to that kind of tactic. But the primary tactic is to use your righteous, frustration with the political system, with this country, the injustices that you serve, and the lack of representation that you've been dealing with to get you to not vote. See, that's an easier thing to do with black voters. It's easier to get you to not vote than to get you to vote for Trump, which if you're Trump, it's the same damn thing if you're a black voter. Be very suspicious of people that's out here talking about, I ain't going to vote. I'm just saying, be suspicious of where they coming from. I'm not saying that each and every person that says that is somehow a Russian puppet. But what I'm telling you is that's part of the overall Russian campaign, because it's easier for them to get you to not vote, to make you mad about Breonna Taylor. Oh, the system has failed us. This system don't care about us. We should just move away, right? It's easier to push certain voters in that direction than it is to get you to vote for Trump. Think about it, family. Be very careful. Let me see. The Deterrence Project. Let me see. Wow. In 16 key battleground states, millions of Americans were separated by an algorithm into one of 8 categories, also described as audiences, that could then be targeted with tailored ads on Facebook and other platforms. Boom, boom. I told you. I remember 2016. For those that was listening to this show, I'm saying now what I said to you then. The Russians are trying to get you to not vote. Whipping up all this stuff about Hillary Clinton, all this stuff. And again, the best propaganda is truth. Oh, yeah, she did say that. Oh, she did take hot sauce into the Breakfast Club. Yeah. And we can't stand Trump. So you know what? We just going to be conscious objectors and not vote. Ain't shit conscious about that. There's nothing conscious about not voting at all. There's nothing smart about it. There's nothing strategic about it. Well, I take it back. There is something strategic about it, but the strategy isn't yours. It's Trump's and the Russian strategy. And a lot of black folks play straight into it. Now, black women, the queens, they was too smart for the game. They showed up. Some of the brothers out there, you got caught in your feelings. Oh, Hillary took hot sauce onto the Breakfast Club. She said what back in the 90s? Listen, we all talked about it. I think it's relevant to the conversation to a point. But I'm just telling you, man, be careful about some of these Facebook groups. Be careful about some of these Facebook groups and what they're saying to you. Be very suspicious about it, because you never know who you're actually dealing with. I'm not trying to say that every Facebook group and they're talking about they don't want to vote for Democrats. I'm not saying they're all working for the Russians. What I'm telling you is that is overall a part of the Trump-Russian campaign when it comes to black voters online. And it's well documented. It's well documented. Roland Martin last week had a guest on, and it's an organization, grassroots organization that is run by black folks, focused on black digital citizens. And they're trying to raise awareness about the campaigns that are being used against black voters in the digital space. So this ain't me saying this. I'm telling you what other people who are in this space are reporting. This is real. Be careful, family. Don't let yourself be a part of the Trump-Russian plot. Don't let them use your righteous. It's righteous to be cynical about the system. For black people, it's righteous for you to say you feel like you don't get representation. You're right about that. For black people to criticize the Democrat Party, you are right to criticize the Democrat Party. There's nothing wrong with that. You are right. But don't let them use that against you so you become an unwitting patsy in a grander game. Because it happened in 2016, family. They're going to try it again in 20. They're going to try it again. They're going to try it again. Don't let them try it. Well, don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. They can try it all day, but don't let them get away with that. Don't let them get away with it, family. Don't let them get away with it, because if they can, they'll try it. They'll do it again. Why wouldn't you? Work successfully. I thought we had Black Rush on. Hey, Black Rush, I got to take a quick break, man, and call me back. And then after the break, I want to talk about some exciting news. 2 new shows that are coming to Sin Digital Media. I want to talk about that and when and how you can watch them. All right. So let me slip into a break. Let's do that first. And we'll come right back. It's the Nathan Ivey Show, Cincinnati's first daily digital talk show that focuses on the Black community. I'm live, I'm local, and I'm vocal. And we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of 3, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is Zoe Wesson. What side of history do you want to be on? The right side, or one where Black people continue to be underrepresented in Hamilton County? Now's your chance to end 230 years of exclusion. In Charlie Winburn, we have a man that's received the Cincinnati NAACP President's Award, who fought on the Ohio Civil Rights Commission for 6 years, who received the Baptist Ministers Conference Community Service Award. Charlie Winburn has received the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Award and was honored by WDBZ The Buzz as Pastor of the Month. We know Charlie Winburn, and he knows us. He's the right man to put us on the right side of history. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 3rd, paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
Adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mama. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
You're listening to The Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
All right, good morning, family. Good morning to you. Welcome back. Nathan Ivey. And again, I want to remind you that those political promos are just that. They're promotions. They're not endorsements. I'm not endorsing any candidates in the upcoming election, but this is a media platform. We're open to Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and we do reach many, many people via our social media here on the Nathan Ivey Show and Sin Digital Media. Good morning to you. So it's 9:07. So again, my mission is simple. One man, one microphone, one mission. My mission is to amplify Black voices in the city of Cincinnati. I think the city of Cincinnati needs an independent voice to amplify Black voices, the Black perspective in particular. And there's a lot of folks out there, and they all do great work. But I feel like we need more unfiltered voices. I look at myself as the most unfiltered Black man in Cincinnati media. There is no filter. I say exactly what's in my heart and in my head is what I say. What's in my heart and in my head is there's no corporate filter. There's no corporate tentacles and obligations. There's no program director. It's my thoughts. And those are the kind of folks that I want to work with. So I want to give you a big announcement that starting next week, you can hear 2 new shows on Sin Digital Media. One of those shows is called Valet Service, hosted by Fast Pitch, who is one of the choppers. You know, she's been doing a podcast for some time, and she's going to come over and work with us on CDM. You can hear that show on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. As a matter of fact, I invited Fast Pitch to call into the show at about 9:15 this morning, and then she can give us more details on what you can expect, and you can connect with her directly. Also starting next week, and I'm very excited about all the new shows. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Much more to follow. Is a shout out to Ask Ashley. She's been doing great work for a while. People know that she does the Monday Night Juice, but she also does a show called Midday Juice, and that show is going to be coming over to Sin Digital Media on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Looking forward to it at 1 p.m. approximately, so a little bit of Midday Juice in her own particular brand of entertainment. You know, that show is typically, you know, her taking questions from the audience and then giving her own unique brand and style of advice. So I'm looking forward to it and looking for more. You know, if there are people out in the Cincinnati area who are talented, I want to help amplify your voice. Let's say you're already doing a podcast. I love to hear it. Or let's say that you want to put our heads together to develop a brand new podcast, a brand new voice. I'm 100% about that life. And I'm very accessible. You can find me on Facebook. You can always leave a message with CDM. My contact information is at my website, nathanivey.com. And maybe we can work together and create something beautiful. I love it. It's been an unexpected joy, quite honestly, that I didn't really expect. And again, you know, I believe that there are a lot of people in the greater Cincinnati area who are super talented. And I want to work with you. Why can't we work together? And if you're on that mission about building independent, media, independent Black voices, why can't we work together and build something that could be superlative? I'll put it that way. So looking forward to that. Plus, Fast Pitch is going to give us a call in about 5 minutes. So looking forward to that. And, we'll talk about, what to expect from the show, what she wants to do with the show, her vision for the show, and just get a sense of who she is and where she's coming from. So that's coming up in about 5 minutes. Looking forward to that. And of course, I'll put promos out. We'll put promos out so starting next week when you can hear and where you can hear, what time, you can hear these particular shows. And again, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We got more shows, 2 new original shows. These are 2 new shows that'll be probably breaking within the next couple of months that are being developed right now from the ground up. These are not existing shows. These are shows that are going to be original podcast from Cincinnati Digital Media that I hope you get into. And I want to move into the world of sports. I want to do some things that, I don't really see other people doing. I don't want to share everything right now because, there's a lot of people out there. And but when it is time to share, I will. And I hope it's something you can get into. Keep it real with me. Hold on here. I'm getting a message here. Okay, cool. Great. Let me make sure she's got the number. Okay. Did I give her the wrong number? Hold on. No, sorry. It's 873. There it is. I did give it a wrong number. So looking forward to that. I'll tell you all about it. So a valet service with Fast Pitch will be on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Midday Juice with Ask Ashley will be Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. I just feel like there's a lot of space in the digital world in the Cincinnati area to fill, with quality voices. And this show is, heavy on politics. I talk a lot about that. The Is It Just Me podcast, heavy on the politics. The Truth to Power podcast, heavy on the politics. So, I'm a little different than a lot of people. I see a legitimate, need for people to speak to all types of topics and issues that are out there. You know me, I love the sizzle, but I'm also about the steak as well. So if you are that person, if you're a creative and or you're looking for a new home or you're looking for a platform, perhaps we can work together. Again, my contact information is on my website, nathanivey.com, or you can always DM me on Facebook, depending on where you might be. I'm highly accessible. All right. Very accessible. So looking forward to that. Looking really forward to it. What are we talking about here? 513-873-7134. I'll put the cover up one more time. This is the cover for today. Should no-knock warrants be banned in Cincinnati? And a juror in the Breonna Taylor case wants to speak publicly. I'm not sure if you've heard that. That's breaking news here in the last 24 hours. That's actually true. Apparently, there is one of the grand jurors who wants to speak publicly and tell their truth. In a statement that was released by the unidentified juror's lawyer, this juror feels as if Daniel Cameron was used in the grand jury to hide behind. And I've just been prefacing people like, look, this doesn't mean they're going to come out. It's going to be like some Perry Mason, aha, I told you so moment. And Daniel Cameron is going to be exposed to be, working in the best interests of law enforcement over the best interests of the Breonna Taylor's family's need for justice. I can't say that's what's going to happen. It kind of looks that way, but we have to wait and see. Anything can happen. But I'm in Cincinnati right now, so I want to get your thoughts about no-knock warrants. Do you believe that Cincinnati should ban no-knock warrants? For me, I say yes. Renee writes, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Good to see you. Since we're trying to reorganize government, police should not be tried in a criminal court of which they are the initial COG. They should be tried in front of a racially diverse citizen panel, which has the same effect and purpose of a criminal court. I like the way that sounds. Hey, caller, can you call me right back? I'm expecting a guest here the next minute or so. Hey, okay, thank you, right. Appreciate that. There's a little bit of a delay there. Ray writes intimidation. Yeah. You're saying that's why the witness. And again, remember this, family. You might have forgot it, but Daniel Cameron, he made his decision in terms of sentencing or not charging and not charging. The judge does the sentencing, obviously. Two of the officers with Breonna Taylor's murder, based upon the eyewitness testimony of a person that, to me, it seems unreliable. This individual who Daniel Cameron cited initially said that the police didn't announce themselves when they were at the front door of Breonna Taylor's apartment. And then 2 months later, did a 180 and reversed himself. That doesn't seem like reliable testimony to me. To me, if I'm trying to recall something or an incident of that nature, my strongest and most reliable recollection is going to be right after it happened, not 2 months later. Like if I ask you if you heard somebody say something that happened 2 months ago, isn't that going to be far less reliable than if I'm asking you to recall hours after it happened, like on the scene? I don't know. Somebody says intimidation. It could very well be. But let me go straight to the phones. Hey, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. It's Fast Pitch.
Hey, what's up, Fast Pitch? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone.
You know, I was just telling people the good news that the Valet Service podcast is going to be working with Sin Digital Media. That's why I asked you to call in. I really appreciate your time this morning. Just for people to hear your voice, if they don't already know you, know a lot of other choppers and a lot of folks know you already. But just to get your thoughts on, what people can expect, with the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, thank you. I'm so happy to join the CDM family with a lot of other great shows. Your show, of course, the Dope Chicks Collective, as you just announced, the Ask Ashley show that's going to be coming up. Is It Just Me with Donnie B? I mean, strong women, strong voices, differing opinions. And so what Valet Service is going to bring, I talk about society, sex, and common sense. Do I talk about politics? Yeah, but it's not a super political show. I talk about serious topics, but it's not super serious. I always try to interject a little bit of humor, a little bit of, a lot of real life experiences. And the show is open, for male, female, to come in, comment, give their perspective so we can all learn and be better. That's what it's all about.
Almost deaf. So what are some of the topics? I mean, you kind of hit that, but what are some of the topics that really interest you that you're going to be focusing on?
All right, so just starting with the first show, just a sneak peek. I'm really interested in, especially in this time right now, of women, specifically Black women, being able to arm ourselves and protect ourselves. I was listening to one of your shows, I believe it was last week. I can't think of what the topic was, but one of the choppers had made a statement that, well, who is going to protect Black women? Who's going to protect us? And my comment to her was us. So we have to protect ourselves. And so I'm going to have a gentleman on who's an expert in tactical training and weaponry, just to talk about, what we as Black women can do to prevent ourselves from being victims, to arm ourselves in this uncertain political time that we're in right now.
So you've been putting in work. I saw that, you took your podcast and you went down to Louisville. You was right on the scene. And didn't you do an interview with the brother that leads the all Black militia?
Yeah, the NFAC Grandmaster Jay. I was able to connect with him, and I did an interview with him. He actually came into the studio I was working in at the time, because I don't like to give commentary on too many things that I don't know specifically about. And because I was feeling a lot of what this brother was saying, I wanted to go kind of see for myself. I had some constructive criticisms about the movement, but overall, I think it was very positive. It was one of the strongest and most positive experiences that I've had to date in my almost 50 years on this earth. So I like to talk about topics like that, some that may be controversial. Today I'll be talking about Cardi B and her political views and her message to the Latino community. So I kind of like to hit around all different topics, and I think that there are topics that everyone can, find a voice and give commentary to.
I'm sorry, I have my mic off. People can find you right now on
okay.
Facebook if they want to follow you, start today. Where are you at on Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Facebook handle is Fast Pictures. You can also follow me on IG at That Fast Pitch Life, Twitter, That Fast Pitch Life. Some people like to email. They're a little bit, more professional with theirs and with their comments and what they want to say. And it's thatfastpitchlife@gmail.com, or thatfastpitch@gmail.com. So Fast Pitch is in there. Put that in there. I'm the only girl that says Fast Pitch. It has absolutely nothing to do with softball. So, look me up, check me out. I'm very glad, like I said, to be joining this in digital media family and to join the other hosts of the spectacular podcast that you're going on. And I'm super excited about it. Now, I believe in collaboration, either or and not and too. So, you can support in digital media, and you can also support other outlets. So it's not an either or situation. So I hope, people are able to gravitate and find something that, they like about the show and give their commentary.
Okay. Can you say it again? You said either or? What were you trying there? I missed some of it.
Yeah, I was just saying sometimes, with us, especially with us in the Black community, we have sort of an attitude of an either or. Either I can support this person and what they're doing, or I can support that person and what they're doing. And I've always been a person who I believe in and too. I can support you and work with you, and I can also support someone else and work with them. And so I really believe in a spirit of collaboration. That's why I was so happy when we were able to get together and finally piece this together with me joining the Sin Digital Media family.
Okay. Sounds good. And again, this show will be kicking it off next Tuesday, right? At 7 p.m. So
right.
Tuesday. I got Thursday. It was
yep.
Tuesday at 7:30 at 7 p.m.
Yep, Eastern Standard Time.
Yep. Okay. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate you.
Yep.
And I'll be listening to the show.
All right. Take it easy. Yeah, I had Thursday up there. Sorry. It's Tuesday at 7 p.m. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And it kicks off next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And I agree with it. I agree with what she said about, supporting multiple folks out there. I agree. There's a lot of folks out there doing different things. There's no reason why you can't support everybody. I most certainly when you support me and us and what we're doing. And, when she said about the spirit of collaboration, I'm all about that. I've reached out to many folks in an effort to collaborate, people inside of the Cincinnati area. And, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But my spirit is always, if we're in the same lane and we have a shared vision, then why can't we work together, to make the vision even bigger? That's just my attitude. And that's the spirit in which I've always been. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you some stories, which maybe I'll save for a later date, but I've always felt that way. And again, not everybody feels that same way, or maybe they do, but they just have different attitudes about it. So that's interesting. So again, 2 new shows starting next week. Ask Ashley will be Tuesdays and Thursdays, and she'll be doing Midday Juice at 1 p.m. That's a midday show, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then valet service with Fast Pitch will be on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. So again, everybody is shut in right now still in the COVID-19 world. A lot of people are turning to digital media more and more and more. We had the foresight to get out in front of with the Nathan Ivey Show 3-4 years ago and started doing the show online. And it wasn't until relatively recently this year that we started doing a show with a video element. And I like it. Every show I do, every podcast I do, I want to have a visual element. I want to have a video element to it because I just feel like it allows people to connect with you in a way that audio doesn't. I'm never going to abandon audio. All of these podcasts will have an audio element. There's a Spreaker page up right now, Sin Digital Media, where you can listen to and you'll be able to listen to all the podcasts, just the audio portion, and then listen to those podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts. Much like this show is right now. Wherever you listen to audio podcasts, you can listen to Sin Digital Media podcasts. And again, my mission is to amplify Black voices. I want to amplify Black voices in this market, in the greater Cincinnati area. And then, of course, these topics, they cross over. A lot of what we're talking about, Louisville, we're not in Louisville, but they cross over. It's people all over the country that are paying attention to and watching what's happening in Louisville. And just like we're asking about no-knock warrants in Cincinnati, there's people all over the country that are asking similar questions. So, that's just how I feel about it. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. I say in the no-knock warrants in Cincinnati. That's what I say. What do you think? See, DeSherie writes, yep, change the story. Justice for Breonna Taylor writes, he got paid. I would not be surprised if we find out in the future that the so-called witness that claimed that they heard police announce themselves was intimidated. I would not be surprised. Police have a history that's well documented of intimidating witnesses, okay, when it benefits them. This is the truth. And people can say, oh, that's wrong, Nate. Cops are all cops are good. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to the public. It's not true. There's a long, well-documented history of these kind of things happening, okay? It's tragic. People's lives are at stake, but it happens. Everybody knows that. If you don't know, go read something, and you'll find out real quickly. TNT writes, I think more at risk with more owners owning guns. We have a right to protect our homes. You absolutely do. I agree with you. I'm like, for me personally, I feel like that puts an officer at more risk. You know what I'm saying? Because like she said, right now, people are real sensitive. You got more gun owners and legal and registered and not registered guns than ever before. We know this to be a fact. You go bamming on somebody's door and you don't announce yourself, they're going to think that you are, trying to hurt them, trying to rob them. And the reason why is the rationale is if it was the police, they would just say it's the police. And then that's how you know from inside the house who's outside the house. It's like, oh, it's the police. I thought I was going to have to shoot somebody. But if it's the police, it's like, oh, okay, well, let me open the door. That's why I still say that I don't believe that Walker, the boyfriend, heard the police announce themselves. I mean, I do not believe that he heard them say police and then fired a shot at the police. I don't believe it. It is more believable to me, based upon what happened, that he did not hear it or they didn't announce it, if they announced it at all. And that's the reason why he fired a warning shot or a shot. And you notice he only fired one. And the police fired what, 16, 17? More than that? Some just don't add up here. But let's go back to the phones and let's say good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Mr. Ivey, why do you refuse to read the case file from the Breonna Taylor drug case where she was directly involved? Now, again, wait, let me say off the top, she did not deserve to die. Okay, just want to make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
She does not deserve to die. But to add context to this story, not what was originally released by the media. They originally released that the police were at the wrong address. She was lying in her bed next to her boyfriend, and she took 7 bullets. Now, Mr. Ivey, we all know none of that is true. None of those things that were originally released were true. So at this point, the narrative is out there and people are going to believe what they want to believe. But also, the police case file is out there. It was a 4-year investigation, Mr. Ivey. Okay? And again, she did not deserve to die. But if her dumbass boyfriend would have not fired that shot and then took cover behind Breonna Taylor in the hallway, she took 6 bullets. 1 was a fatal shot. And the boyfriend was not wounded at all. He fired 1 time at what he claims were intruders. Now, Mr. Ivey, you are a smart, intelligent man. You have to correct this narrative. You have the information at your disposal. I did something that I never do. I sent you a direct message on Twitter. I sent you a text message and, of course, on Twitter, on your timeline. Mr. Ivey, the entire case file is there. And again, she did not deserve to die. But her boyfriend, his story does not make sense. And you talk about the one witness that said that they heard the police announce, and you want to question their credibility. But what about the other witnesses that said that they didn't hear the police? Why isn't their credibility in question? Because we all know witnesses, they see different things in different ways. They could be looking at the exact same thing. Because if you remember in the Michael Brown case, his little buddy that was walking with him, he originally told everybody, oh, he had his hands up. And he's like, don't shoot. Don't. It was a lie. And Barack Obama's Attorney General, Eric Holder, had an investigation, and it did not happen. We know what actually happened. So all I'm saying, Mr. Ivey, please at least read some of the case. Just read the jailhouse conversations on the phones between the drug dealer, the boyfriend, and other individuals who were arrested at the other warrants that were served, where they found another trap house, where they found the drugs hidden in a tree behind the house. Okay, so again, Mr. Ivey, she did not deserve to die.
Before you roll, I want you to clarify a couple things. Is that you okay with that? You got time for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you said you've read these case files. Okay. So let's go through some facts here. Did Breonna Taylor fire any weapon? Did she open fire on police that night?
No, she did not.
Okay. Were there any drugs or large sums of money that were found in the house?
No, there was not.
Okay. I mean, is there any evidence that links Breonna Taylor to directly being involved with selling drugs?
Yes.
What is
a
that
4-year investigation shows it.
What is that evidence? Since you read it.
See, here we go again. Here we go, talk show host.
Here we go, talk show host. Enlighten us.
Mr. Ivey, we again, you have the information. This has been out for weeks. Because originally, a month or so ago, on your show, it was one of your titles, the leaked information from the Breonna Taylor grand jury case.
You're not answering my question, sir.
You read portions of that leaked information at the time.
You're not answering my question, sir.
Okay,
my question
here we go. I will indulge you. This is your show.
You called in and said you had read this case file and you got all this information. Then enlighten us. What is the evidence that directly ties Breonna Taylor to drug dealing? You. No, you didn't tell us. You told us about something that I posted,
first of all,
and you told us about cases, but you haven't given us any specific details.
Okay, first of all, I don't have to give you details. Your audience is smart enough, okay? Quit acting like your audience can't go on YouTube just like I did. This has been out for weeks.
You went on YouTube, okay.
Okay? But because no one has the courage to say the truth within the mainstream media,
including
and of course
you don't have the courage right now to tell us what you claim you know. Just tell us.
It doesn't matter what I say, Mr. Ivey, because
you're right.
Because what I've said is in conjunction to what you have been saying. It's just that you're not going down the road far enough.
I'm giving you the opportunity now to share any information that you think that I'm leaving out. And you are saying Ivey, no. And it makes me wonder as to why you're not doing it.
But Mr. Ivey, I have nothing invested in this. Nothing but the truth, sir. Okay? And how more and more black people and the black divide is being exposed because of social media, because of your platform, and because of people like former police officer Brandon Tatum and the Tatum report online that has the entire report with surveillance footage, with video
He's
footage,
a black Trumpster that sells
with
Trump
audio
t-shirts.
Footage.
That Brandon Tatum?
With GPS.
That
I mean, you can shoot the messenger. You can shoot the messenger, but I've been shot so many times.
I'm not
Mr.
shooting
Ivey.
you down. I'm shooting down Brandon Tate. You throwing him out here like he's some
No,
kind of
you shooting me
objective
down.
voice.
You shooting me down.
I'm not shooting you
by
down.
Questioning.
I'm giving you an opportunity to speak your piece, and you are declining.
I just did.
No, actually,
I put
you
the
didn't.
information out there.
No, you didn't.
Everybody gonna trust but verify what I say
Why
because
don't
I'm
you
a
just give us the
coon.
facts?
I'm an Uncle Tom. I'm a sellout.
Nah, don't kind of go there.
And what's the other one?
Now you're
What's the other
deflecting
one,
from the
Mr.
real
Ivey?
issue. The real issue is you
What's
don't
the
have no
other one?
facts. Because if you had any
what?
facts, you don't have any facts. I'm challenging you. You must not have any facts because
No,
if you
but
did, you say them right now. What are the facts?
Okay, but Mr. Ivey.
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate you giving me all this juice on your show.
Okay.
By me just saying something, it's going to make everything all right. Okay? So you control that. You're not going to ask questions that you can't manipulate the answer to accomplish whatever you're trying to do when your listeners probably right now on their device Googling the Tatum report. Because everybody's not going to say anything, Mr. Ivey, but they're going to read it, and it's going to solidify their point of view about the lying, lamestream media and the Democrat Party, and how they play with black people's emotions.
Deflection.
I mean, they worse than Smokey.
Deflection.
Playing with big worms' emotions.
If you had the facts, you would have. All this talking, if you had the facts, you would have gave it to us right now. So obviously you don't have no facts. That's very clear.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, okay. Well, that's cool, Mr. Ivey.
I'm just
the
saying.
Facts are on YouTube.com. The facts are on at Drop Squad 52
But
on
you just
Twitter.
can't articulate them right here and now. I get it. Okay.
You got it. Mr. Ivey, I sent you a text this morning. All you got to do is hit your phone and you can read it. You could pull it up on your screen and you could put into effect
Why would I do
beautiful raconteur
Why would I spend my time
ability
doing
that you have to tell a story.
Why would I find more value in something that you posted than you do? You won't even give us the facts. So why should I spend my time going looking for it? You got time right now that you wasted, squandered,
it's social media,
pivoting in the pain.
I mean,
and trying to misdirect us, but it's just not going to work.
What is it that you want me to tell you,
Mr. her directly to dope dealing? Either you can tell us.
You want me to tell you
tell
that
us.
she was out there. You want me to tell you she was out there on the corner slinging packages in broad daylight? They catching her with hand to hand.
As whatever your facts are.
Mr. Ivey, I know people that did exactly what Breonna Taylor did in the dope game. Okay.
What was she doing?
They got out clean.
What was she doing?
But every dope dealing, every dope dealer, every organization, whatever you want to call them, they have people with legitimate jobs and clean records so they could buy houses, buy stocks,
How do you
rent
know
cars,
this?
all these things.
How do you
Mr.
know
Ivey.
this? You
so
are a high
all
school
I'm saying
referee
is,
and
before
a
I let
postal
you
worker.
go,
How do you know so much about the dope game?
I keep telling you, I had relatives that were in it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Okay.
I guess post a link for us then. At least do that. Post a link inside the Chop Shop.
Mr.
So
Ivey, how many times I got to tell you? You have the information, sir. We had
if it's
this
not worth your
discussion
time
a
to
month
post your
ago.
link, why should I post your link and you won't post it?
No, Mr. Ivey, all I'm asking of you, because you are a very powerful, influential member of the media, is to just tell the truth about Breonna Taylor's case.
That's your job.
That's all.
I told my truth.
And before I was my job,
it's your job.
I'm on the Nathan Ivey Show payroll.
No,
I'm a paid guest.
It's your job when you call in to speak your truth. I'm not here to speak your truth. Okay, then. So you spoke it. We heard it.
And people don't automatically believe what I say. That's why I have the credibility that I have when you got people. It's the truth, Mr. Ivey. I don't get on here.
They can follow the link, see if it's credible or not, and then ascertain for themselves. You're right about. We all got to do that. You know,
it's already there.
We don't have to do.
It's called the Tatum report. It's been out there for over a month.
Tatum is a black Trumpster that sells pro-Trump T-shirts. Man, he ain't credible.
Okay,
he's not credible. He might be credible in your world.
Okay, I ain't got nothing to do with
he's
that.
Not credible at all.
But I do know he got a couple mil that subscribe and follow him. That's all I know. But anyway, before I let you go ahead.
So that means he's credible? People love a show. People love a circus. But I wouldn't go to the circus to get credible news.
Mr. Ivey, we're talking about social media, okay?
I know.
Mainstream media linked to this guy's website because it's credible. He's a former police officer, just like you are a former member of commercial corporate radio.
Right.
People contact you because you have inside information that the average podcast person doesn't have. And that information is valuable as well as credible because of your character
police
as Nathan Ivey.
Is a former Louisville police officer. Don't mean he's credible.
Right. Well, okay. Well, I mean, of course,
I've been to his website.
But Mr. Ivey,
he is a Trumpster that spreads pro-Trump propaganda. I've been to his YouTube channel, and he sells pro-Trump T-shirts. For those kind of people, there's a huge audience of Trumpsters out there that will support him. So that don't make him credible. Not in my opinion. I don't think he's credible at all.
Mr. Ivey, it's the report, the case file from the Kentucky law enforcement.
There must not be anything in there credible, because if it was, you would have told us.
Mr. Ivey, remember what you said about the no-knock warrants in your community. It's only been used one time? Because it is at a high level of being investigated that the judge feels that the people involved, and in the Breonna case, it was 3 locations that were involved.
And they got it wrong.
That these individuals, because of surveillance and evidence,
and they got it wrong,
had the propensity to use firearms. That's how they got the warrant.
And they got it wrong. They weren't looking for firearms. They were looking for drugs. And they found no drug money and no drugs. And they got it wrong in the Breonna Taylor case.
Again, here we go, sir.
I'm just saying.
Here we go.
The
grand jury has spoken, and more than likely, this individual who has hired a lawyer who is on the grand jury and filed a lawsuit or whatever, I guarantee you he is pro-Cameron. Because we all know black folks don't be messing around on no juries, let alone to be seated on a grand jury.
Might be.
Oh, you know it's the truth. Because see, Mr. Ivey, that's why I mess with you, sir. Because you mentioned it early on. You put it out there to, hey, don't be thinking that just because this guy coming out that somehow it's going to be the smoking gun
that I'm saying now.
You know,
we don't know what direction this grand jury is going to come out and fall on. I'm not changing anything.
Right. Exactly. And see, that's why you have me. I could throw the seasoning on top to let people know that black people don't be messing around with juries, let alone a grand jury. And we're talking about the state of Kentucky, my brother. So that's all I got. Drop Squad 52.
That's all I need.
Trust will verify everything, people. It's an election year. Tune in tonight. Creepy, Sleepy Joe versus the first gangster president. Peace.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the call. But again, you entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts. You are entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And for all the people out there that they all say the same thing and they contradict themselves off the jump. They say, like Drop Dead, they'll say, she didn't deserve to die, but then they want to continue the conversation. The conversation ends right there. We agree. She didn't deserve to die. Stop right there. Oh, it's all good. Sure. They found no drugs. They found no large sums of what some people might call drug money. So much for all that surveillance. You know what I'm saying? They found no drugs. They found no drug money. So what were they surveilling? Oh, they received a package. So if it was a package, I mean, how much drugs could it really have been in a package? I mean, again, they're trying to make it seem like Breonna Taylor was the dope queen of Louisville. We talking about at the most low level drug dealing. At the most, like I said, I wouldn't care if they found drugs in the house. She still didn't deserve to be killed. I mean, it was reckless across the board. Walker fired one shot. They returned with what? Over 20, 16, something like that. One officer fired 16 times. It's crazy. So the ends don't justify the means. If they would have found $10,000, they'd have found 10 stacks in a package. So what? They found 10 stacks in a package. Big deal. You know what I'm saying? Big deal. What difference does it make? And I resist the efforts of people out there trying to make this sister into a criminal. I just resist those efforts. Oh, she bailed him out. And? Oh, well, he was going to her house late at night. So what? Oh, he was dealing drugs, so that means that anybody's that he was dealing with has to be dirty too. What? We only do that with black folks and drugs, street drugs. We don't do that with white collar criminals. We don't do that when law enforcement breaks the rules. We individualize it. Again, they found no dope and no dope money. They didn't find some cache of guns. They found one firearm. That was it. I think it's easier for people to vilify. Again, white supremacy has baked in excuses. They have baked in tendencies. Like, it's far easier for people to believe that this black woman was a criminal than the fact that the police committed criminal acts. It's just easier for them to believe that. That's just baked in. It's just easier for them to understand that. And part of it is because the whole media around street level drug dealing. You know what I'm saying? That's become the number one boogeyman, right? That's the scourge of our communities, right? I don't believe that. I mean, is it a problem? Sure. Would things be better if we didn't have, illegal drugs? Yeah, let's legalize them then. I mean, if the illegal drug trade is so bad, then why don't we legalize these drugs and then take away the motivation from, these individuals and then bring a more civilized process to the transaction of these drugs, like we do with alcohol, like we do with all these over-the-counter drugs. Now marijuana. I mean, I'm just saying, if drugs are so bad, legalize them. But we don't want to do that because then you take away the rationale. Number one, then you take this number one motivation to incarcerate. You take away the rationale for these bloated police budgets. You don't want to do that. Oh, we need them. We need these dope dealers out here, right? Because then that helps to shape our whole worldview. What will we do about these scary black and brown folks dealing drugs? We wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. So I just don't buy it. I'm sorry. I mean, other people can buy it. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit. Somebody saying a new stream started on Spreaker. What? I hate that. Looks like I'm still here, though. Looking at it right now, everything seems to be good. I'm sorry about that. So I don't get it. And then what's up with Drop? I ask him, I give him the time to articulate the facts. He don't want to do that. Why is that so hard to do? Well, I posted it 3 weeks ago, and you just brought it up right now. How do you call into the show, make a statement like, well, she was dirty. She was working with the drug dealers. Okay, what's the facts? Well, you had a show a month ago. How does that answer the question? If you don't have the facts when you call in, don't call in and bring it up. You know what I'm saying? It's real simple. It's on my Twitter. Okay, well, you read it, right? Okay. Well, then break it down for us. Give us a synopsis. What did we miss? Oh, I'm not going to do that because why not? Something tells me there are no facts. That's what tells me. There must not be any real strong facts. Because if there were, you would put them out there. As simple as that. But I mean, we love to throw dirt on dead black people's graves. We love to do it. It's just so easy for us. So easy. Angela writes, witness not credible. I believe the cops maybe had something on him. Could be. We've seen that before. Him Here you are, a witness, and you got information that could make the cops look bad, but then you've committed some offenses, so they intimidate you. You want to go to jail, you want to go home. You know, hit you with the old training day line, right? And most people want to go home. It's like, you know what? I think I do remember them saying yeah, I remember that now. I think I do remember it. Daniel Cameron McConnell sure didn't present the multiple other witnesses who said the cops did not announce themselves right. So those witnesses don't matter. You can have 3 witnesses say, "No, I just heard a whole bunch of ramming and nobody said anything." We're going to ignore them. And we're going to focus on the one witness that changed their story 2 months later because it fits the narrative that Daniel Cameron wanted to create. That's what I see. Let's go to the phones. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. It's Kev on the cell.
Kev on the cell. How you doing, man?
Doing well. So drop, trust but verify, dropping nothing but nonsense. It's not actually even, it's the norm for drop. You know, you used as a source YouTube. Like, not to diss YouTube, but we all know that the internet is undefeated. I don't care what you're looking for, you can find it on the internet, 100%. So, True. Like you said, you know, as you said to him, and I will say eloquently, man, come with facts. If you're going to present facts, then present actual facts. The one thing that bothers me about the whole Breonna Taylor thing is it's the norm, right? Anytime something happens, when the African American or Africans throughout the diaspora community gets activated, the way they pivot is we gonna vilify them. Let's make them into the bad guy. Then whatever happens to them, that's okay. Now, in the meantime, if you unfortunately leave your dog outside in the cold, man, you are no longer entitled to breathe in this world. You hear me? If you leave your dog tied to a tree in the snow for a day, they will come in your house. They will tell you that you are going to jail. They will keep you in jail, and they will tell you that you have no rights to anything. But these 3 guys, and I'm going to say these 3 guys, broke into someone's home. Actually, before they broke into the home, they fired into somebody's home, right? Fired at folks. Somebody died, and we are worried about whether or not the person that died was or was not part of a criminal activity. It doesn't matter. Even if you were part of a criminal activity, you have rights. What you said or what you alluded to is 100% correct. The person that died, that got shot, was not found, did not have a day in court. So we'll start there. Did not have a day in court. Jurisprudence says that they get a chance to go to court and prove their innocence, and that they are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So the person who was not guilty of anything died in this incident, and nobody is held accountable for having taken her life. That is it. It's cut and dried. It's very easy. I don't care who else you were shooting at. It doesn't matter. You can't call it, even if you said it was collateral damage, it would be manslaughter, right? Or it would be reckless homicide. But no one is being held to account. Make that make sense for me, Nathan. I can't do it. How does somebody lose their life and nobody is responsible for having taken it? The only thing they're responsible for is they wantonly endangered somebody. Well, the person you wantonly endangered died. It was a homicide. Justifiable or not justifiable, you say it was justifiable homicide. At least then you at least admit that there was somebody that was killed. Call it justifiable homicide, in which I would say, okay, Now we're going to sue you, Mr. Police Department, but no, we've already done the suing, right? So that brings some level of closure. But there is no one being held accountable for actually having taken this woman's life. And the people that were in the room are the people that are paid to protect and serve lives. Help me, Nate. I can't get it. I'm just some dude. If I understand this, how come folks don't? That doesn't make sense to me.
I'm with you 100%, man.
Nate.
Let me ask you a question about Cincinnati. How do you feel about no-knock warrants in the city of Cincinnati? Should they be banned in Cincinnati, in your opinion?
I have a problem. Well, so here's the problem with that. I'm not against police. I don't have an issue with police. I know some very good officers that do their job, and they take. In fact, I saw a former officer the other day, and I was talking to him about the day I saw him over in Price Hill pushing somebody's car, not with his car, but with his hands. Because the car was down, and the young lady was in the seat, and I was like, man, you don't see that very often. So I know good officers. The issue with no-knock warrants is there are some very dangerous people who you can't knock on the door. You knock on the door, they're going to shoot you. And that's the truth. I mean, there are, Now, is there another way to serve the warrant? Is there another way to do the investigation? Possibly. I don't know how that works. I'm not a police officer. But I'm sure that there are instances where no-knock warrants make sense because people's lives are in danger. I do think, though, that it should take a special adjudication in order to get that no-knock warrant where everything is vetted and you're not just kind of thinking somebody might have been involved with some sort of drug deal, and that's why you're going in this way, right? And so, there should be a level to it where, number one, there's a certainty that the person that you're looking for has actually engaged in some sort of criminal activity. And it shouldn't be, just for some in this instance, if you call her a mule or whatever like that, that's not a violent criminal. The person that they were looking for didn't even reside at that home. So that's the thing. And then Drop said some other stuff. You just reminded me. This young lady lived in an apartment and was working on becoming a nurse. I didn't hear anything about any exorbitant spending that she did or any houses that she owned or any of that stuff that he said. I didn't hear any of that. Now, maybe she's got a villa in Mexico or something or I don't know, but that wasn't part of the story. So as far as the no-knocks go, I'm sure that as a tool, it is something that could be valuable to the police to use. Should it be used very sparingly? Secret indictments are the same way. I feel the same way about you really should have a chance to state your piece. But for some folks who really are up to kind of not good, you might need to do a secret indictment or a no-knock warrant. I don't know. I know that if somebody came to my door and did not announce themselves, I've told you several times, I don't carry my weapon. My weapon is for my home. But if somebody came to my door and, I said, hey, identify yourself or whatever, and you didn't do it, and you try to break in my door, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know that I'm going to protect the sanctity of my home, though.
I thought that the no-knock warrants was part of the rationale for having them is so that people can't destroy evidence, not necessarily to stop somebody from reacting with lethal force because somebody's trying to get in their door. Because if it's me and you just try to kick the door in, you don't announce yourself, that scares me more than if you say, hey, it's the police outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're dealing with the kind of person that if you knock on the door and they say it's police, they start shooting, Well, those are the kind of people in my mind that if they just hear you trying to kick in the door, they're going to start shooting. I thought the whole purpose, one of the biggest purposes was to try to stop people inside from destroying evidence. So you want to get them with the element of surprise. Because if you're dealing with if you're dealing with a killer, you go trying to batter down the door, they're just as likely, even more likely to fire than if you announce yourself as police, in my opinion.
But to be fair, unless the door is fortified, when they hit that door with that battering ram, there's no attempt to open the door. They're going to pop the whole fixture off of the door, and the door is coming open. unless you've got the door fortified. Now, if you got the door fortified, That's different. But when they execute these no-knock warrants, it's pretty surgical. It's not like, bam, 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 and they're trying to get in. Usually that ain't the way it works, from what I understand. Now, I've never been there. I don't play one on the radio. I'm not trying to say anything, and even that would be, and yes, it is about not destroying. It's about both, or it's supposed to be about both, right? One part of it is supposed to be about security, and the other part is supposed to be about surprise, so that they don't destroy the evidence. Absolutely, you're correct. But my point to saying any of all that is, you definitely should not be. Let's say that Breonna Taylor was the mastermind, right? Okay. Let's say that she was the mastermind of a criminal empire, that she had millions of dollars inside that apartment, stashed in the walls, underneath her bed, everything else, right? Mm-hmm. It's still a nonviolent crime, and she lost her life for it.
Agreed, 100%. Agreed.
It doesn't. You know what I mean? None of that matters. So as much as you want to vilify this young lady in order to make it justifiable that you took her life, it still doesn't rise to the level of literally a death sentence.
I agree.
You and I disagree about one thing. I think that in certain instances, the death penalty is warranted. I do. I do have a problem with the fact that many times after the fact we find out that person may or may not have been guilty, and that is problematic. I'm not going to lie. But I'm also very honest to say that if you hurt somebody in my house and somebody in my family, I'm a Christian guy, but I don't know that I'm Christian enough to be like, man, I don't want some sort of retribution for that. And I'm not going to lie about it. I would hope that I could pray on it and forgive the person. I really would, but I don't know that that's real. I just don't. I think, especially certain people that are flashing through my mind right now, my anger is going to be really, really strong, and my emotions are going to be really strong, and that probably ain't going to go away, and I don't know how I'm going to respond to that. You know what I mean? I always say, Lord, please never test me on that, But the thing is, like, there are things that people do to people that the reason I don't want you here is I don't want you ever to have the opportunity to do that to anybody else. I don't want you to have a chance to get out of jail and do it later. I really don't want you to, and I don't think that death is the worst penance, to be honest. So I think that really I'm doing you a favor, because prayerfully you're conscious and you have to actually relive the fact that you took somebody's life. Not likely to happen, but it could happen. So we disagree on that, but I do agree on one thing. There is never a time in a nonviolent crime that a person should be murdered.
We agree.
Ever.
We agree on that.
Okay, we agree on that. I appreciate your time, Nathan. I'm sorry to go off on the rant. Oh, last thing. So tonight, get ready for the fireworks, right? The fireworks are going to be Donald Trump with no audience. I was watching Stephen Colbert last night, and he's not funny without an audience. When he's got people behind him going, "Ooh, that's funny." But when he's standing there by himself and there's no one to like rile him up, he ain't funny. And I think that you got a guy standing next to somebody that is a statesman. And I know people disagree with me here, But I think a person who can be very eloquent and could definitely string together some sentences that have to do with policy and change has an actual platform. And then you got this other dude that's a reality star and needs somebody there to clap and guffaw in order for him to look like he's winning. He's got no supporting cast tonight. It's just him. You know, a string of one-liners and him. When they ask him about policy, he's going to say what he always says. Well, we'll see. And we have some really good policies. Really, really good policies. Great policies. Our policies are fantastic.
Right.
I just gave you the whole Trump. I just gave you the whole Trump debate right there.
Well, I did read that Trump,
all he got, man.
The way Trump is preparing is to not prepare, and Biden is aggressively preparing. To me, chance favors the prepared mind. So whoever's doing the most the debate is going to be won in the preparation in a lot of cases. So we'll see how it plays out.
Nathan, if you have no answers and they ask you questions, what can you prepare for? It's like the man's taxes, man. You know, I'm just hoping it'll all go away. We're just hoping that you go away.
And it did, apparently. Only paid $750 in federal taxes. Wow, that's good. $750
on set. Got a $72 million return? How many kids you got to claim to get a $72 million return?
Like 150 million.
Talk about wealth.
Hey, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. Be blessed.
Most def, yes. Definitely watch that debate tonight. It's going to be real interesting, and I'll break it down with you. I might even go live later tonight during the debate and do like a watch party type of thing. That might be interesting. Would y'all be down with that? Would y'all watch it with me if I did that? I mean, I could do it real easy. Put the debate up on the screen. I'm on the screen as well. We just kind of chop it up together. I might do that. Look for that. Look for that. If you're interested, I might just do that. I think that's very interesting. Yeah, his prep is no prep, which I don't think that's anything different. And meanwhile, Biden, as he should be, is going super hard in the paint. His people should be going through every debate he did all through 2016, the primary and then the presidential debates, and then all of his public comments, all of his interviews to pick up what are you looking for? You're looking for his tendencies. You're looking for his tendencies. Most people are creatures of habit. They respond to things in the same way. I'm the same way. You're the same way. And so if you do enough research, you can put yourself in a position where you can almost predict how the other person is going to respond. And when you get to that point, you've got an advantage. You've got an advantage. It should also be looking for how they can hit Trump in the gut. Hit him where it hurts. Find out what really matters to him. And it's real easy. All you gotta do is go back through all of his interviews, all of them, every interview he's ever done, and look at how he reacts to what questions. And the questions that give you desirable reactions, whatever that might be, you bring them up. You already know how he's going to react. Trump might not care about the country. He might not care about you. He might not care about a lot of things. But there are things he cares about. Find out what they are. Use them. It's real simple. Use them. All right. I'm going to take another quick break and then come back with some final thoughts. This is the Nathan Ivey Show, live, local, and vocal, powered by Sin Digital Media. Please like and share today's show. Your shares mean everything. You can connect with me on Twitter at Nathan from Cincy. I would give you my IG, but my IG has been banned. I don't know what I did, or maybe somebody reported me, but I've been banned on IG. I can upload stuff, but I can't like anything and I can't make any comments. So I'm going to be migrating everything to a new IG. So I'm not even going to worry about IG right now. But for now, you can find me at Nathan from Cincy on Twitter. And of course, NathanIvey.com. We'll be right back.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
The Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson. The U.S. economy can't reach its potential unless the country addresses gaps in economic opportunity, so says Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland President Loretta Mester. So how bad is racial inequality as it pertains to income and wealth? Data finds the average income of African American adults is 60% of their white peers, and the wealth gap is even larger. The median wealth of African American households is just 1/10 of that of white households. And with all the talk of racial inequities and on the massive protests since the untimely death of George Floyd, many celebrities are sharing their thoughts. Rapper, actor, and entrepreneur LL Cool J.
I'm encouraged by so many people that are on the right side of history and looking at these times in the right way. And I think that social media is doing for the world what the news did for the world in the 60s.
And that's your Bloomberg Blank Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of 3, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is the Nathan Ivey Show. Get ready to be engaged. Get ready to be informed. Get ready to be enlightened. Get ready to be enraged by the man City Beat Magazine called a talk radio rebel. And your host. Now back to the show.
Final thoughts for you, family, and then I'm going to let you get on with your day. I've got a lot of things going on today as well. My son returns to digital learning. Speaking of which, I do have a daughter who attends Walnut Hills High School. Of course, I talked to you directly about some of the issues and our experiences there. She's doing well, despite some of the issues she had to deal with last year. And we got her first midterm grade. Just a midterm, and she's doing excellent in every single class, and I do mean excellent, but we don't celebrate before you end the race. As I told her, she's like, Dad, I'm like, hey, midterms is midterms. We want to see what those final grades are going to be. So you're only halfway there, little Buddha. I'm sorry, medium Buddha. And I talked so much about my children that I decided to put an image of the three of us we took. I think it was yesterday I took that. And it's up on the Nathan Ivey Show page. I think I shared it on my personal page as well. My beautiful children. Junior, medium Buddha. Whew, man. It's what they say about teenagers is true. It is true. But we got a questionnaire. It went out on Friday, which is brought to my attention just yesterday within the last 24 hours, asking Walnut Hills parents what they want to do. Because of the large student body of Walnut Hills, they just can't do an A and B, return hybrid system. So they were asking parents what they think. And they're talking about doing like an A, B, C, D, where your kid goes to school 1 day a week. I just don't see, why take the risk for 1 day? I just don't see it. I mean, at this particular time, and this is to the chagrin of my daughter, and I'm sure a lot of the students, my daughter wants to return to school, right? She wants that social interaction, but she's a teenager. And we don't let teenagers make all the decisions because they're teenagers. Her brain won't be fully developed until she's like 25, 26 years old. So mom and dad, the parents will make the decisions, along with the other adults at the CPS administrative side. But they got a couple plans. I mean, for me, my ideal scenario would be for my daughter to remain in digital learning and remain at her school. To remain at Walnut Hills High School and remain in digital learning, as opposed to going out of her school and being in the Digital Learning Academy, which is different. That option should be offered. In fact, that makes the most sense. To me, it doesn't make any sense for her to be in digital learning 1 day a week, go to school 1 day a week, And then 3 days a week, basically you're self-directed. That doesn't make any sense. You're actually taken away. You're taken away from the learning process. Right now, 5 days a week, my daughter is in virtual school. She's getting interaction, albeit it's not face-to-face, but she's getting interaction, with the students and with her teacher, most importantly, through a virtual medium, through a digital medium. And she's getting that every single day. If they go to this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, system, then she's only going to get that face-to-face visual learning 2 days a week. One will be face-to-face. That opens up the door for COVID-19 transmission and infection. And then the other is going to be virtual learning. She's losing 3 days. That doesn't make any sense. To me, this is very simple as it relates to Warner Hills. That is, at this point, stick with virtual learning, remain in your high school. Everybody continues doing what they're doing. Why put the teachers and administrators and the students at risk for 1 day? Make no sense. And if you're a teacher or administrator, you're taking all the risk. Because if they go that route, you're at the school every day. You're seeing all the students, although it's not all at one time, but you're being exposed to all four groups. Y'all taking all the risk. The students are only going to be there 1 day, and they'll be with the same group, right? And I get it. So it'll keep down, transmission outside of the group. You're trying to control it. I get it, but that's just my 2 cents. I turned in my my virtual. They had a survey. I turned in my survey, and I'm telling you what I said on it. We'll see what the parents of Warner Hills have to say. To me, it just makes sense. I mean, we kind of gotten used to this kind of stuff, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Keep prayers up, everybody. Prayers up. The Attorney General will never prosecute the police because they are on the same team. Yes, they are. It's like prosecuting a team member. It's hard to do. The Gang of Five drama was the biggest waste of time and non-issue ever. Yes, it was. The Coast, the local Tea Party, got paid off taxpayers again, right? GRB writes she sold drugs. Even if she did, she didn't decide. She didn't have to die. Crystal writes, Nathan, if you don't get dropped, he's going to make my brain explode this morning. Don't let that happen. We can see right through his ish. TNT writes how institutional racism and white supremacy works. Like Trump said, when you have the votes, you can do anything. They had the right corrupt prosecutor, the right corrupt judge, the right politicians to pimp the non-issue. Yeah, you talking about the Gang of Five? Yeah. All Republican judges, and they played this game out to try to make it seem like it was some big deal, and it was not. Where was all these pro Gang of Five people? Oh, it was the worst. Where y'all at? It was the worst thing ever. Oh, it was doom and gloom. They having secret meetings. They sending text messages. We talking about the steal a phrase or, from Allen Iverson. We talking about text messages. Text messages. We talking about text messages, really? And I bring this up because it just seems like once again, on another level, law enforcement is saying that there's nothing to see, folks. Go back to more serious issues. Big waste of time. For a $1,000 fine, it cost the city and taxpayers $195,000. $191,000. Think about that. Ridiculous. Absolute waste of time. Human life is important in Hyde Park, Indian Hill. It's a free-for-all everywhere else. Classism. Lenny B writes, a mistake doesn't keep an everyday citizen out of jail. If the result is murder, tell him now. Tell him. Soldier boy, tell him. You're right about that. When you make a mistake, you pay for it. When the government makes a mistake, you pay for it. How's that fair? Pascal lost his mind because he couldn't sit next to daddy anymore. What? Pamela writes, they are saying Trump most likely owes close to $1 billion. TNT writes, Smitherman even had his dying wife comment about those text messages on her deathbed. Real low point for Fox 19, Trisha Mackey, to do such a sad interview for political purposes. Yeah, I called her out. Me and the Troppers we went at her on Twitter. You talk about some low ball journalism, Trisha Mackey. But she's all mixed up with Coast and Smitherman. I guess she's on the team. That was some low down using the death of a black woman for ratings moment by Fox 19. They was dead wrong for that. Over text messages. Because somebody said something about you in text messages. And Christopher Smitherman pimped it all the way out. He's still pimping it. He spends more time talking about the Gang of Five than real policies that actually matter. People should pay attention to that. What kind of politician for the people really does that? It's all about games. But we saw the same thing happen with him and Jerry Tolliver when he tried to pimp that out and tried to blame her for the reason why he wasn't messing with the buzz no more. You know what I'm saying? I know what happened. I was right there. It was some straight BS on Christopher Smitherman's part. And then he tried to vilify a black woman to make herself look better. And some people bought that ish. Oh, it must be true. It was all lies. Straight up lies. You know me, I keep it real with you. There are no consequences. I mean, you don't like it, so what? Kick rocks. Cam's in the house. He writes, good morning, folks. I'd almost forgotten about yesterday when IT, a.k.a. Fame, was throwing dirt on your name about something that happened 9 years ago? 9 years ago, bro? And you ain't even bring that up, man? Come on, bro. Oh, man. TNT writes, rat, monkey, snakes. That's when I started to coin that phrase. There's a lot of rat, monkey, snakes in Cincinnati. That's part of the problem with Cincinnati. And I don't know a whole lot about the white community, but in the black community, there's a whole bunch of rat, monkey, snakes running around in public, acting like they there for the people. Don't believe it, folks. I'm telling you. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Don't believe the hype. Exactly. Russian interference had a lot of black folks pushing their talking points. Yep. And pushing away from the table of voting. And they're trying to do it right now, talking about the 90s crime bill. I don't care about the 90s crime bill anymore. It's over with. What I care about is what we do moving forward. Don't let them use your intelligence against you. There's a lot of very intelligent people running around here talking about they're not going to vote. How is that intelligent? But they've convinced themselves that's the smart thing to do because I can't vote for Trump and I can't vote for Biden. Well, if you're a black person and then considering how these votes really turn out, not voting is essentially as a vote for one of the candidates. I'm just here to tell you that. And you do what you do, but I'm here to tell you that. Marlon writes, single dad of 3 need help with food and Pampers. Please, anything will help. Okay, Marlon. Cash App MB119. Woody writes, we are so easily bamboozled and hoodwinked, like Brother Malcolm said. We are. But we hoodwinked into a lot of different ways. Because that was back in the 60s. Brother Malcolm didn't understand the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the contemporary digital marketing and propaganda that goes on. Okay? When it comes to the presidential election, part of the bamboozling is making black people upset about things that you're already upset about as it relates to the system. If you're 30, 40, 50 years old, you got 30, 40, you got 20, 30, 10, how long you've been an adult voting adult, to look at the system to realize that it doesn't always represent you. So now you're like, damn, we ain't getting representation. This system don't work. F this system. Like I know a lot of smart people. They are extremely intelligent. They're not dumb at all. But when it comes to these elections and voting, they smart dumb because they've allowed other people to convince them that their vote don't matter. And if your vote didn't matter, the Republicans wouldn't be running around here trying to steal your vote. They wouldn't be spending $1 billion on both sides of the aisle during every election cycle trying to influence your vote if your vote didn't matter. If your vote didn't matter, Trump wouldn't be out here using the post office as a weapon against the Democrats. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be running games against the black community trying to confuse you and abuse you and distract you. Your vote matters. Your vote matters. If your vote didn't matter, again, I'll say it. Every 4 years, the Democrats and Republicans in total spend about over $1 billion trying to influence your vote. That right there tells you your vote matters, if nothing else, because the money is talking. Let's go to the phones. Last call before we roll. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade.
Hey, Black Russia, good morning. Good morning. What's going on?
How's it going?
I'm doing great.
Not a whole lot.
I'm doing great. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, I was going to send you an article, but I didn't get around to it. But you probably already heard about those 16 indictments by the feds.
16 indictments by the feds.
Yeah, in Cincinnati, it was 16 individuals that got rounded up.
Is this a new story? This is something that happened recently, or
yeah, in the last 24 hours.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it. No.
It's supposed to be one of the major bust of the people who are responsible for all the
crime,
gun violence in our community. Yeah, they named actual locations as to where these incidents occurred.
Okay.
Too. Like you might have heard something. You might have heard some of this in passing. Like, do you remember the story about the guy that had the gun down at CPA was waving at the students?
Yeah.
All right. Well, guess what? The feds stepped in and got him.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I see it.
So, yeah. That's what Law and Public Safety Committee is organizing. You was asking about what they doing down there at Law and Public Safety. This is what they doing.
They organized this?
Look at read the press release. I'm not making it up. It was organized by the feds and the Cincinnati Police Department and the Sheriff's Department. They all collaborated.
So what role did the Law and Public Safety have to do with it?
Well, I know that they're involved in those discussions. Now, you ain't gonna see those on the floor of council, but that is actively known.
This says
they help to coordinate this stuff too.
It's a team effort including the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, U.S. Attorney's Office, Cincinnati Police Department, and Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I just thought it was big news. I actually not only read it in the news, it was in Columbus News, and I saw it on the TV too. So this is like in the last 24 hours, these individuals are the people who are the primary responsible for all the gun violence that we see during the COVID-19 situation where, supposedly homicides have gone up and shootings have gone up. These guys are the folks who are responsible. And I found it interesting, their age ranges.
And what's the age range?
Well, the oldest person involved was 41. But everybody else is younger than that. I think majority of those guys like in their early to mid-20s. Getting fed charges. And the reason that this is so serious is because, here in Ohio, if you just get the state charges, which the guy who had brandished the gun down at Performing Arts, he was only going to probably get 3 years on the gun spec for having the gun. Well, with the feds, you facing at least 10. So they really came down hard on these charges with these individuals.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's hope it all sticks and maybe it'll have an impact in the streets of Cincinnati. That's a good thing.
Well, it's a good thing. I won't say I hope it sticks. I'll say they're innocent to proven guilty. But if they're guilty, then let's see what happens. But I was just looking at this article and I was looking at the locations of where this stuff was going on at. This is all in the city of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I think you said it better. Right. Let's say if they're guilty, they'll be held responsible. It's a better way of putting it.
Right. I don't want to put nothing on nobody that they ain't do. But according to the allegations, these are the individuals responsible for all the nonsense that's been going on.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the special prosecutor said no criminal charges for the Gang of Five?
I did see that. Interesting news. But here's the thing though. I kind of found it when he said there's no charge, but then he said this ain't over. I just kind of wonder what that means.
Well,
I have no insight on that. He kind of left the door open to a degree. And I'm kind of like, what does that mean?
Well, he is Joe Dieter's special prosecutor, right? So he got to have at least one black cloud.
Well, he's not. He's not Joe. He's not Joe Dieter's special prosecutor. He used to work. Pat Henry used to be a U.S. attorney, and so like he's out here in private practice. And he gets appointed.
Right.
Joe
Who
Dieter,
appointed him?
He didn't want to investigate it.
But who appointed him?
Well, Joe Dieter's appointed.
Okay, so he's Joe Dieter's special prosecutor then, like I said.
It's not his special prosecutor. This is like the Hamilton County special prosecutor. It's not his.
Right. He appointed by Joe Dieter. So he's Joe Dieter's special prosecutor.
But what is that?
It means that he was appointed by Joe Dieter's.
Okay, so but I'm saying, why is that relevant? Joe Dieter could have investigated himself. He handed it off to Pat Hamby. I'm just saying this guy's not.
It's
Joe
factual. It's literal. It's literal. That's what it is, Black Russia. It's literal. It's Joe Dieter's special prosecutor, literally. You still there?
This guy don't work for. Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to you. I'm trying to make sure I understand what you're saying. And I'm saying this guy don't work for Joe Dieter. Joe Dieter handed the case off to him like, just do what you do.
Who appointed him?
I don't want to play this semantic. We already said Joe Dieter's, bro.
Oh, okay.
What we doing?
We're trying to be factual.
You wanted to ask me about that. I did see the news, and I just thought it was curious that he said this ain't necessarily over with. And you said, well, it's because it's Joe Dieter's special prosecutor. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Does that correlate to him saying this ain't over with, or?
Well, this whole Gang of Five thing was nothing more than a plot. It was politically motivated. So what I'm trying to say, when I'll be more specific, is I'm not surprised.
We'll circle back to that.
I'm not surprised that the Hamilton County Republican prosecutor, Joe Dieter, who chose the special prosecutor, decided to leave a little black cloud out there, right, to leave some kind of suspicions. But that's a minor headline. The real headline is no charges. So all this for nothing.
I don't think it was for nothing, Nathan Ivey. And I think that people who are, it depends on what your viewpoint is. If you value government transparency, okay, then this is a red flag. It informs your decision making going forward. You said earlier, I believe, like 4 or 5 people that were involved ain't running for re-election. So Greg Lance is off my list because of this. I won't vote for Greg Lance. That's me. Because of this situation, he can't get my vote. People can do what they want to do with Greg Lance, but he's not getting my vote. As for everybody else on the list, it informs my decision making going forward. Can I trust you with higher office? Can I trust you with any other office going forward? You term limited out. I get that. You're going to send a city council and you're going to be there until your term ends. But going forward, can I trust you with higher office? And at least one of those individuals within that group has said he wants higher office. And we know who it is. I'm not going to give him any more airtime. But the reality is, this informs my decision making and informs voters' decision making going forward. How you conduct government business. You conduct it in the cloak of night, getting the majority together to push policy to try to get rid of the city manager. That's what this is all about. And the city admitted that they violated the Open
That's not
Meetings Act.
factually
so
true.
let's not forget that. That's absolutely factually true.
It's not true. They weren't trying to get rid of the city manager. They were pushing back on the mayor's effort to try to get rid of the city manager.
Oh, excuse me. All right, yeah,
right. Yeah, I mean, that's a big difference. That's a big difference.
But that's the big difference. But the same principle applies. They were trying to do business in closed doors because they had a majority on there.
You're right. I stand corrected. It was important in the sense that Coast and Brian Shrive made a bag again. They made $90,000 out of it. So they're the big winners.
Whose fault is that?
I think it's not really about fault. It's whose plan was it? It's not really about fault. It's whose plan was it? This was the plan of Brian Shrive, Coast, and in my opinion, Christopher Smitherman from the beginning. Christopher was probably like, everybody know that Christopher Smitherman and Brian Shrive is super thick. We all know that. And so they probably got together and thought, okay, this will be a win-win. You can throw some dirt on PG Sittenfield because at that point, the big news was that he was going to run against PG Sittenfield for mayor. So he thought I put some dirt on him. And then Brian Shrive and Cost they thought, oh, we can make some money. So yeah, it's less about the fault and more about the plan.
But where's the culpability for PG Sittenfield? You're saying he's absolutely absolved from this. The Coast can't make no money. Brian Shrive and them can't make no money if they ain't doing nothing wrong. So you have to say they did something wrong, Nathan.
Well, they said they did something wrong.
And that's why this informs your decision making going forward.
They said that they did something wrong. All of those individuals in the so-called Gang of Five got before the judge and the public. They had released statements that said we was wrong to do it. And considering what the offense was, I think that should have been enough. But you had people like Christopher Smitherman and other people that tried to draw this thing out. They tried to make it into something bigger than what it really is for political reasons, hoping there would be criminal charges. They didn't care about the money they took from taxpayers because they were hoping to get something political out of it that was far more important to them. And we'll see if it works. So far, I don't think it worked. All it did was Brian Shrive and Coast got paid. That's the only thing that happened.
And I'm going to go back to my original point. Why did they get paid? This ain't just a matter. They just went out here fishing and got money. That wasn't it. Everybody and their mama knew these folks were, as a majority, meeting behind closed doors discussing public business. And you want to just act like, oh, no big deal.
I don't think it's a big deal.
$178,000 of taxpayer money going out the door because they don't know how to count to 5 is a big deal.
I don't think it's a big deal.
You don't understand how to govern.
I don't think it's a big deal, and the special Republican prosecutor doesn't think it's a big deal. So, I mean, where are you trying to go with this?
He didn't say it wasn't a big deal. Actually, he said, we're still kind of investigating.
We don't know that. Like I told you, that's more of the political, leave the door open, leave a black cloud over it, because he is Joe Dieter's special prosecutor. We've already gone through this. I'm not surprised to see that. You know what I'm saying? Had he shut the door completely closed, Joe would have been pissed. So he left a little bit of doubt out there.
How do you know that?
I'm just speculating.
How you know
I'm just speculating. I'm just speculating.
I know. Okay.
I'm just speculating. Had he closed the door completely, Joe, Alex, Christopher, Brian Shrive, and all the other folks sitting back hoping that criminal charges was going to come out of this would have been upset. So he left the door open in the public's mind so people can run with it like you're doing right now.
No, it is what it is. One of the people involved, the actual orchestrator, wants to be the mayor. So this ain't going away. This individual wants to be the mayor. He wants to do backroom deals with smoke-filled rooms for the next 4 years as the executive. I don't find that to be tenable.
You almost made me choke on my tea.
People can disagree on that.
Yeah, I mean, now you're speculating. You almost made me choke on my tea, on my organic green tea this morning, man.
What you real speculating? That he was higher office and that he admitted to having backroom government going on and he wants to be the mayor. Those are facts. I'm not speculating on that.
Again, if PG Sittenfield, who is running for mayor, I think that they should abide by all the rules. And if people want to bring this up and hold them accountable, obviously they are well within their rights. If it's that important to you, people should run with it. I'm just saying, from my perspective, having analyzed it, it cost taxpayers a whole lot of money. There was a little bit of sizzle and no stake whatsoever. We got nothing out of it. The city of Cincinnati is as citizens, we are in no different position before we were before. What really should have happened if it wasn't politicized is they should have paid a $1,000 fine and should have issued their apology, baby slap on the wrist, and keep on moving. But because Christopher Smitherman and his buddies Brian Shrive and Coase thought that they was going to use that to try to throw dirt on PG and Democrats' name, they tried to run this thing out like it was some big deal. That's what really happened.
I think what really happened is the public got informed about how a certain member of council who now wants to be mayor isn't transparent in how he tries to operate government. And that's informative. And I think people can make the decision or who wants to be leading the city based upon that one factor and everything else.
Well, I don't think that's going to be a factor. I don't think that's going to be a factor at all in the upcoming mayoral race. It might in the minds of some, but I think there's a whole range of far more important issues and policy ideas that, for me, is going to really impact my vote. I mean, that's just me. You know,
right.
David Mann wasn't a part of it, but I still don't think very highly of David Mann and some of the decisions and actions he's made, especially this year, you know, with the social unrest in the city of Cincinnati. I think that, I mean, I'm just saying this based upon, you know, what I've heard and kind of, you know, the people that's, you know, on my radar screen, but I think I'm not alone in that.
Right.
But we'll see.
No, you're not. You're not. I somewhat agree with that. David Mann didn't necessarily handle that all the way. But what I can't say about David Mann is that he's not transparent about how he feels about stuff. I haven't caught David Mann like hiding his feelings or trying to act like he's not doing one thing. At least I know what I'm getting with David Mann. I'm not necessarily totally sold on David Mann, but I can say that about him. At least he's transparent. At least he ain't trying to hide the ball. His opponent right now, he likes to hide the ball. He likes to play these little small political games on the floor of council. I know about both these guys.
That's one way of looking at it.
They've been in politics 30 years, you know, so we'll see. They all got flaws, right?
Do you think that the open records law in Ohio needs to be updated?
Yes.
Okay, so we both agree. And see, that's the fundamental place where I start. I think that the Ohio open records law is outdated. It was written before text messaging and things like that. And that's part of the issue. So maybe that's something for state legislators to focus on.
Yeah, I agree with that. But see, the thing about this guy running for mayor who pushed he's trying to push the envelope. See, he thought he was smarter than the old, outdated open meeting law. this is like a pattern with him. Like if you watch him, he just thinks he's smarter than everybody, and he's going to have his way no matter what. Like the arrogance really turns me off. But
I know, I can hear it.
That's the thing about the open meetings laws. We agree it needs to be updated, and it needs to be more tech. It needs to be more clear technology-wise. I'll say it like
exactly.
that.
Right. So, like I said, if 4 members of city council have a text message meeting or get on a text messaging thread, that's okay. They just can't do it if it's a majority. So if it's one more person, that's bad. But to me, and I get it, I understand it, but that's splitting hairs, quite honestly. It really is.
It's not, because that makes a difference too. That makes a difference, not even in terms of whether something passes or fails. I mean, you get the 4, you still you ain't got it passed yet.
Maybe. It depends. So, for instance, you got 9 members of city council, right? Let's say we already know that 2 members of city council are for a particular position, right? If I get 4 members of city council who are outside of those 2 that we already know of, don't I still have a majority? Because I know 2 city council members are in a particular or leaning in a particular position. If I get 4 others, don't I still have a majority? So that's why I say that to me it was a little bit of nothing.
That's illegal.
What's illegal?
That's illegal.
What's illegal?
That's called round robin, what you just described.
How is that illegal? If I get 4 members of city council and we get on a text message and we start talking about policy and things like that, is that going to violate the open records law in Ohio?
If it's just 4 alone, no.
Right, okay.
If it's just 4.
So that's what I'm saying.
If it's just 4.
That's why it's so flawed. That's why it's so flawed. So if I already know that 2 members of city council are leaning in a particular way, we know this. And then I get 4 other members. And then I get 4. We have no conversations. There's no text messages. I just know. Okay. And then I get 4 other members of city council that don't include the 2 that I already know about to have a text message meeting. That's okay. But don't you still have a majority in essence? Because 2 members are already in the bag, so to speak. I don't know. To me, like I said, it's real fuzzy. It needs to be updated.
It's about the meeting. It's about the meeting of the minds. That's what it's about.
That's what I'm saying.
2 people are for something. But here's the thing, though. You can't, like you yourself, you can't go have a conversation with these 2 folks and go back and talk to the other 4.
I know.
That's 6. Now you add.
I know.
So what I'm saying is, like, if you get an indication that 2 other folks might be going a certain way, and you ain't had no conversation with them, nothing like that, and all of a sudden you got 4 amongst you, that's not flawed because you ain't had no conversation.
Okay, but it is flawed.
On the floor of council, you're going to air that out.
But it is flawed.
On the floor of council in front of the public.
But it is flawed.
Behind closed doors.
But it is flawed because you can be in one of those council committee meetings, an ordinance or an idea is proposed. And while they don't have the entire conversation, they do sometimes tell how they feel about it. So you can ascertain right there where council members feel just upon their initial statements. They may not say 100%, this is how I feel about it, but you can get an indication for how they're leaning. So I could take that information and say, look, I think I got 2 or 3 votes, and then go talk to 4 other members of city council. You don't have a direct conversation with them, but you've got this information because you had a public conversation in committee. Then you go talk to 4 other people and get them in the bag. What's the difference? In essence, there is no difference, but that doesn't violate the Ohio.
No. Let me tell you the difference. The difference is you got the 2 public statements from these people who you think are going one way. You're in your example, they made these statements in committee. Those are public hearings. We know as a public how they're going. You go behind closed doors and you get 4 folks, you still ain't got a majority necessarily.
Yeah, again, splitting hairs. That's why I say it's splitting hairs, and this flaw needs to be updated. It's splitting hairs. It needs to be. There's so many loopholes in that.
Updated still don't cover that.
So what now?
No, I was saying even what you propose, even if the laws are updated, I would say I agree with you. We updating the laws, but in the scenario you just gave me, you're still in violation of the principle of the law. You're still going to be in violation. If you only got 4 people together and you go talk to 2 people. Now, if you get 2 people who make public statements, and they made public statements, and the public knows about these statements, then you cool talking to other 3 members of council making a 4 because you ain't got a majority yet. You don't know that.
Oh, okay.
If I get together a majority in vaccines and I say, hey, y'all, here's the play. They trying to get Harry Black out of there. We want to save him. How y'all feel about that? You organizing the votes. You lining up 5 votes to defeat the 4 in the closed doors, not at public meetings.
And see, this is why I say it's flawed. It needs to be updated. And this is why most voters don't care about it, because it's minutia. It's insignificant to the real, kitchen table issues that Cincinnatians are dealing with on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? So I stand by what I said. I mean, it was a little bit of nothing that was politically motivated. And, I wouldn't be surprised if the Republican Party tries to bring it back again. I know Christopher Smitherman is probably on Twitter still talking about it because it's what he does. But for real Cincinnati voters, for everyday voters, they don't give a damn. Everyday voters don't care about this, man. They don't care.
I think they'll tell us, I guess, next year. I think it's going to be an issue, and I think whoever's running against PG Sittenfield is going to have a ton of material to run against them commercial-wise if they can raise the money. Because he's a flawed candidate.
I think
that
is
going to be his downfall.
I think that
before the fall, that's him.
I think this is just my opinion. You can do what you want to, yes. But in my opinion, I think that if David Mann starts to run a whole bunch of Gang of Five, I don't think it's going to help him, because I don't think we really care about it. And I think most people understand that it was all some politics. And the fact that these Republican prosecutor, the Joe Dieter special prosecutor, just came back and said no charges, that just underscores it. Now, if he had came back and said there were charges, okay, that gives it more legs. But since he just said it was no charges, essentially, it's a non-issue for a lot of people. But I think it'll be interesting. I think that'll be wasted money by David Mann. If I was David Mann, I would spend more of my time and money focusing on what his policy ideas are and why he would be a better city mayor than running negative ads about Gang of Five. Now, he might find something else about PG Sittenfield that might make more sense to run negative ads on. But the Gang of Five thing, I think that Christopher Smitherman has run his course with that. He's dragged it out for as much as he can possibly get out of it. That's just me, though.
Well, Smitherman running for mayor, so it's not about him even trying to drag anything out. His opponent is not PG Sittenfield. PG Sittenfield's opponent is PG Sittenfield, from my perspective.
Oh, okay.
Because, again, he's in a scenario where he wasn't transparent about trying to organize government behind closed doors.
You're losing people.
That hurt you.
You're losing people. I think that's a loser. I think that's a loser in my opinion, because it's not a kitchen table issue, and there's no charges. There's no charge. The Republican appointed special prosecutor Patrick Hanley said no charges. So in the minds of most people, that's the end of it. Anything else seems like you're just trying to pile it on.
That's what the Democratic machine wants you to think. That's what the Democratic machine wants you to think.
Patrick Hanley is not a part of the Democratic Party machine. He was appointed by the Hamilton County Republican prosecutor, Joe Dieters.
No, I'm telling you with a spin that you're putting on it. Like saying
it's not a spin.
That's what the Democratic machine wants you to think.
That's not a spin. That's the way most people are going to look at it, BR. Black Russia, I know you want this thing to be dragged out. I know you got an issue with PG Sittenfield. In my humble opinion, this kills it. It would have been different if the prosecutor came back and said,
I don't have a personal issue with him.
Okay, it sounds like it. It sounds like it.
He's a poor politician. I just think he's,
it sounds personal.
He's bad politicians. He's bad for black people. I think, hey, that's
my
opinion.
You're entitled to your opinion,
that, right?
But I'm just telling you from the perspective from a voter perspective, I don't think this is a winner, because there's what came out of it. Again, Joe Dieters, Hamilton County Republican prosecutor, appointed this special prosecutor, and his own guy said no criminal charges. That's it. That's it. So now it's time to move on to the new outrage.
That the city, that how you conduct the business was against Open Meetings Act. Again, I think it counts for something. You don't have to agree with that. I think next year there's going to see a lot of people who are going to be running commissions. We'll see. That's what the voters have to decide.
The voters will have to decide that.
Maybe this will become a non-issue.
Maybe. It's been a non-issue. Nobody's talking about it but Christopher Smitherman and Brian Schreier.
The voters.
No voters are talking about this, man. You don't hear no voters talking about this.
That, right?
Man, Black Russia, who in Cincinnati has been talking about this other than Christopher Smitherman and Coast and Alex Triantafilo? This is all on Twitter, by the way. Who else has been talking about this?
I've seen it in every major news publication here locally for the last probably 2 2.5, 3 years. So don't make it sound like nobody's been talking about it. The media's been talking about this since the beginning, and all the way till yesterday. So, like, to say like nobody's talking about it.
Nobody's been talking about it. The news has been doing their job reporting on the significance of the legal challenges and as it goes through the process. I mean, that's their job. They're going to do that. But nobody's talking about this. Voters aren't talking about this. No voters are talking about this at all.
The voters won't talk until next year, bro. We don't know.
Okay.
Look, I'm saying it's a whole year out.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm saying the vote. I will say it's wrong because
we'll see.
The voters are obviously going to decide it.
We'll see.
It should be interesting, but I think Daniel Cameron got a political problem too. I ain't gonna keep you kind of
really. Okay. I can't wait to see what this grand juror has to say. I hope it comes out. We'll see. Could be for or against Daniel Cameron. It could go either way. We'll find out. Hey, brother, but I got to make a move, man. Thank you for the call. Black Russia's out. Black Russia's out. He wants that Gang of Five thing to be important so bad. They want that to be that. They want Cincinnatians to drop all the kitchen table issues. They don't want you to talk about how COVID is affecting your life. They don't want you to talk about how COVID is affecting your business. They don't want you to talk about the crime. They don't want you to talk about the lack of affordable housing. They don't want you to talk about all the issues that really matter to you. They want you to talk about some text messages. We'll see. We'll see what David Mann does. I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, here's a guy who put white Amadeus wigs on black kids in his campaign commercial as if that's supposed to tell us you're going to be an effective leader or not. So I would put nothing past him, but I don't hear voters talking about that in Cincinnati. I don't hear citizens talking about it. I hear political types. I see operatives for the Republican Party talking about it. And the number one person that's been talking about Gang of Five in the city of Cincinnati is Christopher Smitherman. That's his number one talking point. He hasn't been talking about equity for black people. That's not his number one talking point. He hasn't been talking about, black businesses. He hasn't been talking about the effects of COVID-19. He hasn't been talking about crime. He's the law and public safety chairman. His number one talking point and issue has been Gang of Five for years now. That's it. I don't know. I hope the brother's okay, man. That's been his number one talking point for years now. And that's it. You go on Twitter, you can follow little people that, retweet and like everything he says. It's a small circle of little Twitter trolls. That's about it. The Mac Twins and Black Russia and some of these fake accounts and Alex Triantafulu and the friends who like Coast. Outside that little bubble right there, nobody gives a damn. Nobody's waking up every day like, you know what? Text messages. Nobody's doing that. It's a waste of time. Y'all should spend your time and you might get more out and more mileage out of some other, schemes and whatever. But that, to me, that's a loser. But that's just me. To me, that's a loser. That's a loser. Nat writes, he gets his facts from YouTube. Yes, Drop talking about Officer Tatum. You know who Officer Tatum is? This guy's a black Trumpster. He's got a big audience on YouTube. Hundreds of thousands, not millions of people follow him. But I mean, we understand how this country works. They love to get a black dude that's a Trumpster, just running around, exonerating the role of police around. Every time the police kill an unarmed black person, Officer Tatum's there to tell you that the police did the right thing. White folks love that. Law enforcement loves that. They roll thick. They roll thick for those kind of people. So I'm sure law enforcement around the country are some of his number one subscribers and supporters. He seems to be doing well. I mean, I wish him the best, but I don't look at him as a credible source at all. Officer Tatum, this guy's selling pro-Trump T-shirts. That tells you everything. And he's a black man. And so he's found a niche for himself. It seems to be working for him. And, that's it. That's it. Oh, man. Now Nate is a bad podcast host. I don't know if he went there or not. Denim, Diamonds, and Drop. YouTube facts. Oh, my God. Click. Rachel writes, click. Janice writes, good morning, good people. Good to see you. Jack writes, quit slandering that young woman's name. Sad. I mean, how can you How can you, in good name, slander the name of a dead black woman and you a black man? Why are you doing this? What do you get out of this? You throwing dirt on her name and she can't even defend herself. And she did nothing wrong. She didn't fire any shots. Do you have some evidence that she was dope dealing? I mean, the war on drugs has also been used as a way to gentrify neighborhoods. That's probably what's going on in Louisville in that particular neighborhood. That's what the rumor is. That the police was turned up to 1,000 because they was trying to clean up the block because they had this new wave of development that they wanted to happen in the same neighborhood that Breonna Taylor lived in. You know how this game is played. Don't act like it's just, we want to protect and serve. Come on, man. Anthony writes, too much time, Nate. They don't want they want me to cut down the time of Drop. I enjoy Drop's conversation. Brent writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers, checking in from Dallas, Texas. What's up, Brent? What's up with you, man? Let me flash forward a little bit. I got to roll here. I'm on much longer than I thought. Fast Pitch writes, IG is super skip, always banning or interrupting content they find offensive. I've heard that. Again, I don't even really post on. My Twitter habits are the same as my Facebook habits. Typically, I'm just attaboying and congratulating and reaffirming people and people having special accomplishments and birthdays. I just try to say nice words and, outside of what I post on my particular pages, in terms of what I post on other pages, usually I'm doing likes or, I'm just trying to do something to affirm what other people are doing or supporting other people, birthdays and, things like that. I don't really get super critical on other people's pages because, if I'm that critical, why post anything? That's how I look at it. Same thing with IG. I don't really get critical on people's pages. I mean, I think the most critical I ever got was, remember when Omarion was dealing with that little threesome with his baby mama and his former friend, member of his band? I might have posted some things, letting them know, like, hey, y'all trying to issue on this dude. It was wrong. That's about it. So somebody probably reported me on some hater-ish. It happens. I'm not really that care. I don't really care that much about it. It is what it is. Anthony writes, moderators should have the ability to cut candidates' mic off if they get off topic. Well, okay, so, I've hosted it, or CDM, Digital Media, has hosted it before. And with the software I'm using, we don't really have the ability to cut off a microphone per se. I mean, you can cut the whole video feed. So, typically in the past, at least myself, and I know with the moderators, they're strong enough to step in and say what they got to say. And then if people just get too disrespectful, then, that's always an option. Most def. TNT writes, that's what I said in my survey. This is so irresponsible to open CPS schools. Someone will get sick. I hope nobody dies. But it is inevitable. Could happen. Don writes, people going to have to learn you have the power. Look at what they did to Native Americans, and you think they're going to do anything different to the people of color? City government Cincinnati is corrupt, and the whole system is tore from the floor up, so all of them need to go. You paid for that leadership, so now go along with it and stop crying over it. You voted on Mann, now pay the consequences. I did not vote for David Mann, just so people know. Barry writes, good morning. I just couldn't get past the Amadeus wigs, and you might think it was that and some other issues. I'm just looking for new blood, but those Amadeus wigs was just, using black people for props and there's no real substance behind it. I have a problem with it. Like, if you're a member of council and you honestly, or you're running for council and you honestly have been working in the black community and forming these relationships, cool. Yeah, you should do your campaign advertisement and include these relationships. I ain't got no problem with it. But putting white Amadeus wigs on black kids and then you're helping them with their schoolwork, I'm like, they don't do that at the YMCA. You can't do that at the Boys and Girls Club. Where they do that at? I had a problem with it from the jump. Listen, family, I got to make a move. I can go on for days and days. You know me. Thank you for being here. I'm going to let you get to the rest of your day. I got to get to the rest of my day and make sure I do my part with my son. He's in digital learning today. I'll be back with you and better than ever tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. We'll chop it up. Have an excellent rest of your day, and we'll talk real soon. I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.
Yeah.